Hey, I think we're live. I want to say hello to everybody. It has been a hot minute since I have been live at all. I think it's been, I want to say 3 weeks ago, we had Bookborn on the channel for Whom the Bell Tolls. And I had Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative scheduled for last week. And then I had an unfortunate death in the family. So we postponed that into March. And then I was going to be gone this week, maybe to California, but clearly I am not. I am in 30 below Minneapolis today. And it's been a few weeks since we've got to hang out. And so since we've got to hang out, and I don't know, a few days ago, I was like, you know what? I miss the BellTube community. I want to come on and just do kind of a random live stream in the middle of the day. I don't really have an agenda. We can talk about whatever you guys want to. And I don't know. I think that in some regard, I like doing it in the middle of the day a little bit better than when I normally do, because I have a lot more energy at noon than I do later on in the evening. I will apologize in advance, by the way, for anybody who's tuning in. If I am a little all over the board today, I'll tell you why. I had about a three-quarter pot of coffee this morning. Now I just came back from a business meeting at a coffee shop and I drank whatever the largest grande thing they sell is of pure black coffee. So I am fairly wired right now and my brain is a little bit all over the place. So we will go into some chat. We will put some comments up. Maybe I'll have a guest or two on. I don't really know. A couple of people offered to come on the show. And to be honest with you, I just want to kind of see what the vibe is like here today before we do any of that. And we're certainly, if I do, it's not going to be any interviewing or anything of that nature. I just missed you guys. So I wanted to come on and say hello, and let's do that. Let's go into some of the comments. Delicio, hey Brian and everyone, I will be following the stream while working from home. Don't tell anyone. All right, I just told everyone. Sorry about that. Andrews, Wizardly Reads says, sup? John Douglas, good afternoon from the editing bay. Yep, John's making videos today. There's another channel you should follow. And by the way, if you haven't read his book, The Black Crown, it's a big recommend for me. Jerome says, hi Brian, it's the end of the day here in NL. I think he means the Netherlands, I think. Slay, what's up, my man? Hello, everyone, and Andrew. Good to see you, Slay. Loved it. Marianne's here, another one of my favorite. God, this is great. You know, maybe I'll just come on and do this once a week in the middle of the day and hang out with my friends. Marianne, great to see you. I love when Slay shows the emojis. Bro, these late afternoon snoozes are a real struggle. Yeah, you know. Thatcher's here. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Good to see you too, Thatcher. Longtime supporter of the channel for sure. R.H. Snow, howdy from the map drawing Teams Bay. Yeah, I think that's what that says. Sam Sargent, good time for us in the UK, 6 p.m. here. Awesome. Wired, not tired. All right. Peter says, hello, everyone. The BookTube news these past few days has been upsetting, to say the least. You can say that again. Heidi's here. Hello, Brian. Taking a break from Gardens of the Moon for your live stream. I am loving it. It is the most epic fantasy I have read so far. You know, Heidi, that makes me so happy because I know you love Wheel of Time, and Heidi and I align on almost everything that we read. And when we don't, it's pretty rare. And so I was really hoping Heidi would be digging Malazan, and she is. And I have to say, she's doing it on audiobook, and hats off to that, because there is absolutely no way I can do Malazan on audio. You guys know I listen to all the lit RPG in the world on audio, but just for kind of fun, yesterday I put on a sample of Midnight Tides, the prologue, on audio just to see what it was like, and I could, no way. I was like 30 seconds into it, I was like, nope, this is going to be sight read for me. So kudos to you, Heidi. I know, sorry, I called you out. Dan, reads too slow. Hey, everyone. Luckily, weather is allowing me to work from home and watch today. Well, it's great to have you here, Dan. Dark Stars Book Cavern. Hi from across the pond. Hello, hello. Craig, good evening from the UK. Just had your tea. Love that. Love tea time. You know, when I lived in England, I went to college at the University of London and also London School of Economics. And I got into having daily tea time. That has gone the wayside these days for coffee, as I mentioned earlier. Hectate, hi from snowy Canada. Hi from snowy Minneapolis. Oh my gosh, one of my all-time favorites. Sylvia's here. Hi, Brian. Finally caught alive. If you guys haven't seen the episode when Sylvia from Library and Bowden came on For Whom the Bell Tolls, definitely check that out. And if you're not subbed to her channel, do that too. She makes incredible videos and more people need to see it. I think our channels are roughly about the same size. And to be honest, her channel should be 100 times bigger than mine. It's just so much more professionally put together. Her insights are fantastic. She's so much more creative than 99% of the booktube stuff that's out there. So yeah, big shout out to Sylvia for sure. Joseph Jennings, hey, all, slowly easing my way into the Dragonbone chair, enjoying its slow buildup so far. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit today too, about buildups and quick stuff and all that goodness. Joanna's here, can't stick around, but hi, Brian in chat. Joanna, I appreciate you even coming in for a minute. 34 watching and only 5 thumbs up. Oh, that's okay. They'll get to it. If I give them something to give a thumbs up about, maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get picked up a little bit. Christine, hello, jumping in while I have a chance. Good to see you, Christine. Heidi is always on point. That is right. Tori talks. Hi, Tori. Hi back to you. And where are we here? Gosh, I'm just trying to catch up with chat a little bit. Hi, Brian. Currently deep into the editing debut, work in progress, but had to take a break to stop by for a few. Well, rock on Chris Navo, one of my longest friends here on the booktubes and just a generally awesome dude. Joanna says, I tried to listen to the Midnight Tides prologue like 20 times and it was an epic failure for me. So, okay, so here's the deal. If Joanna can't do something that I also can't do, I feel like I'm in really good company. So thank you for easing my failure feelings on that one. Where are we here? Preacher, what's good? Hey, Preacher, good to see you. And where are we? Christopher, have fun editing. Cool. I think that's most of the comments. I don't know. Sometimes it's really weird. You guys, I'm not using StreamYard like most of the other streamers use because I want to say about 3 or 4, maybe even longer ago, months ago, StreamYard doubled their price. And so I went out looking for other software and I happen to be using one called EV Mux, and it allows me to do kind of different and cool things that StreamYard doesn't, right? So we can do soundboard stuff and, you know, when I fail. And if Rick shows up, we got all that stuff. So yeah, I like having the soundboard. It's kind of funny. Sam, you staying warm today? You know, I was outside for a bit, Sam, and I don't know if you've been. Sam's also from Minnesota. Guys, it's been ridiculously cold here, and it's weird because we don't have anywhere near the amount of snow we normally get, but the temperatures have been just bonkers low, like minus 25 wind chills on the daily basis. Not fun. Not fun, but you know what? We're inside today. We've got the home library behind me. And I also got to say, special shout out to my dad for sending me this cool top. I really like it. And take that, Philip. Take that, Dr. Fantasy. It's even got like the brown elbow kind of patch things. So just in case you think you're the only cool one here, Dr. Fantasy, got that going. Absolutely. Where are we here? Look at all this cool stuff. Where are we? I see you guys, I start talking about shirts and then I lose track of the chat. This is what we got on BellTube. This is what you guys have become accustomed to in the nonsense world. So yeah, if you want to throw in chat what you're reading right now, we can talk a little bit about that. I will tell you, I finished up Long Price Quartet, book 4, The Price is Spring. If you guys have not read Long Price Quartet, and if you think my opinion matters much, big recommend for me on this whole series. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in the monthly wrap up. The one thing that I'll really suggest is not spacing the books out as far apart as I did. I read book 1, then I did book 2 like a month later. Then I waited like 3 or 4 months to do book 3. And I had forgotten too much that, you know, it was still really good. I loved, you know, An Autumn War, but I immediately followed up with book 4 because The story, I think it's important that you read these books together because there's 15 years of a time skip between each book. And why put yourself through the trouble of having to remember, particularly because these books are short, right? They're all between like 300 and 350 pages. And for me, honestly, the fact that the entirety of the Long Press Quartet is shorter than Wind and Truth, and the quality, at least in my estimation, is just so far superior. It's a really good series to hit for sure. And the casts are pretty small and the stories are really compelling. And I will say that the books are all individually different. They don't feel samey to me at all. They all have really a different tone, but the overarching vibe of Long Price Quartet remains the same. So just because you think you kind of know what the story is all about when you read the first book, it changes quite a bit in book 2, even theme-wise. And then it changes theme-wise in book 3, and then it changes theme-wise in book 4. And I just, it's one of those series that I've just heard about a million times. And, between Tori and Alan and Anitha and Evie and Pete and just that whole kind of corner of BookTube ganging up on me enough that I finally, just said, let's go for it. And I'm really, really glad I did. It's, this final book for me was my favorite. I think people kind of go back and forth between books 3 or book 4, which is their favorite. I think that's probably going to be 99% of your experiences. You're going to like book 3 or book 4 the best. But yeah, big recommend. Let's see some comments because I saw the minute I started asking what you guys are reading, these comments just started flying in. I'm going to try to catch up to them. Chris Navo says, I am looking for a new live stream service. What are you using again, Brian? I'm even using EV Mux. And Chris, if you download it and you want to test it out and you want to send me a link to walk through it, I'm happy to do that. I did that with Jacob over at Talking Story. I had him come on my channel when I first got the service and showed him all the features that it can do. And it is far superior to me mechanically and capability wise than StreamYard. The only challenge is that there's been some glitches and the customer service is terrible. So if you can get past the glitches when they happen, like one time for me, it wouldn't even connect. And if you guys were watching, I think it was Jacob's actually episode of For Whom the Bell Tolls, we had to restart the stream. I had to recreate the thing from scratch, really like on the fly. And that was, I think another person may have panicked, but I'm just so used to the bar stuff where something is going to go wrong every single night and just sort of being in the mindset of when it happens, don't freak out, just fix it and move on. And that's exactly what we did. But apart from a couple of glitches, the capabilities of EVMox are superior and the price is half of what StreamYard is now. If you want to get the one that's paid for and you get rid of all of the branding stuff. I will say that the branding stuff with StreamYard, when you see that little duck in the corner, is far less intrusive than the branding stuff if you get the free version of EVMux, because it's got an animation that goes on the top right-hand side of the screen, kind of like where my dragon's under the disco ball. By the way, no one's mentioned the dragon under the disco ball. I spent quite a bit of time getting AI to generate me a dance floor full of dragons, or at least a cool, well-dressed dragon under a disco ball. But be that as it may, EVMux, to answer your question, Marianne says, I spent this morning shoveling out our ridiculously long driveway. I'm telling you, I know what that is like. I have years of experience. Heidi, Brian, it's so nice when you read every comment. When you are solo, you can do it. And that's a fact. That is right. I try to do it. It's like, because I remember before I had a channel and I would tune into people's live streams. And my mom reminds me of this every now and then. I know Philip had a live stream, or Philip was part of a live stream, and he had highlighted my comment and he had made a comment on it. And I certainly didn't know him at the time, either personally or anything. And I was just floored that Dr. Philip Chase had read a comment that some dude here in Minneapolis had put into a live, and it like made my day. And I've not forgotten that. And I think that's kind of a lesson that, we can take from some of the things that, have unfortunately happened this week in BookTube, is that a mentor told me a long time ago that the minute you forget where you came from is the minute that you're headed right back. And, I'm not going to get into a ton of that controversial stuff today. If we talk about it, we do. I can give you kind of my 2 cents, but I'm not making content about it. I am not making a video that says my reaction to this or that. I think it's a disservice to the person that was, affected so, obviously negatively and horribly, that I'm not interested in growing the channel that way. We're here to talk about positive stuff on BellTube. We're here to, get together as a community, not for, clicks, and not for just, I don't know. I think capitalizing on a bad situation is probably the word that I'm looking for. So, I mean, if it comes up, we can chat about it a little bit, but obviously my feelings are, it's awful, and it's bad for the entire booktube community. It's bad for everything. And people turn to fiction and fantasy fiction for positive things. And when something like this happens, it reminds us that we do live in the real world, and, kind of crappy things happen. And when they do, and it's a big one, we still have to find our way to navigate through it. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Samwise says, had to work outside on Monday. I spent half the time trying to stay warm in my truck. Dude, I don't know how you do that. Dan says it's 30 degrees in Arkansas and it's freezing. Can't fathom how you deal with negative 30. We're just built different here. And my ancestry is very Russian, Romanian. Another shout out to Sylvia in that part of the world. But maybe I'm just built different for it. That doesn't really bug me that much. Preacher says, hanging out at work, just finished up with my lunch break, walk audiobook, and hit a brutal chapter in the Sword of Kaigan. I don't know if I will be able to continue my day as normal. Yeah, I think I know kind of where you're at with that. You have to keep me posted what you wind up thinking about that. That actually landed as my most disappointing book of the year last year. And not because I didn't like the book, just because it was such a booktube darling, and it was hyped up so hugely that I just thought it was going to be the greatest book in the world. And my expectations were too high for what the book delivered to me. But as always here, if you love it, or it was one of your favorite books of all time, which I know it is for a lot of people, then awesome. That's what we're here for. Look at who's here. Hi, Kay. She made it. Good to see you. Another amazing channel. Marianne just finished Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell and loved it. I'll be starting a short story collection that takes place in the same world. Yeah, Susanna Clark is... I don't know. I mean, I think it's maybe just the fact that she doesn't have this gigantic catalog of books like Stephen King or Brandon Sanderson or Guy Gavriel Kay even, has less books than those guys, but she's really up there in that kind of GGK level of prose and of storytelling ability and of imagination. And yeah, it's it's a weird thing, right? Because you've got Pure Nacy, you can sit down and read it in a day, and then you got Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is like a huge tome, right? I don't know how long it took you to read that, Marianne, but it took me quite some time. But I kind of wish she had like a 400 or 500 page book come out every so often, because I would read all of her stuff, no doubt about it. Tori says, I am so thrilled you enjoyed Long Price Quartet. That is true. I absolutely did. And Sam says, I'm going through The Rising by Ian Tregillis. Fantastic book series. Never read it, but I will check it out. And if you comment, Sam, on this video about that, I'll actually remember to add it to TBR Mountain. And Ash says, Reverent, great sci-fi horror. Reverent? Yeah, I think that's what it says. Again, add it in the comments, and I will remember to do this. Tori says, it's 8 degrees Fahrenheit here right now, and it's the warmest part of the day. Yeah, Tori lives about an hour and a half southeast of here, so she's in the balmy part of Minnesota. Yeah, balmy 8 degrees. Slay says, currently at 30% of Black Leopard, Red Wolf. I'm liking it a lot, but the read is going incredibly slow. What are you currently reading, everyone? Yeah, thanks for asking, Slay. That's good. Chris says, yes, Long Price Quartet rocks. I'll be starting Dagger and Coolin. I think he means Dagger and Coin. Yeah, I want to do that too. TBR Mountain is so big. But yeah, Daniel Abraham, what he did with Long Price Quartet, yeah, totally underrated for me. Totally underrated. Yes, Coin. Got it. Okay. And Tori is reading. I am reading Curse of Chalian right now. Excellent. LPQ is kind of hard to find. Yeah, so here's the deal. They have an omnibus edition of the entire Long Press Quartet. If you can find it, it's really expensive. So I actually did 3 of the 4 books on Kindle. The third book, An Autumn War, really strangely, I bought it off Amazon as a trade paperback and they sent me the hardback. So okay, that's fine. They charged me for the paperback and sent me the hardback. Okay, fine. So I've got 3 books on e-version, 1 book in hardback. Yeah, they're a little bit tricky. But if you're into ebooks, go for it. And I want to say one of our viewers put in the comment the other day that they are on Kindle Unlimited. So if you're a member of Kindle Unlimited, I think you can get it there. Dan is currently reading Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. All right. And starting my Dungeon Crawler Carl journey on audio. Well, I'll tell you what, Dan, you've come to the right place. Achievement unlocked for sure. I've been screaming about Dungeon Crawler Carl, I think for the last 6 years since the first book released on audio. And yeah, I mean, it's my favorite lit RPG for sure. It's in my top 10 fantasy series of all time. And to answer the question before anybody asks it yet, I have not started book 7, The Inevitable Ruin, yet, only because I was finishing up a book yesterday on audio that I'm not reviewing, but I'm interviewing the author and the voice actor coming up in March. And I wanted to get that book under my belt before I did that so we can do a really good For Whom the Bell Tolls and I understand what the premise of the book is. So we did that. And then yesterday, when the book released, I was very busy being an alpha reader for somebody else's fantasy Western. And that took up all my reading time, but it was worth it because it was really, really good. And you guys are going to like the book when it comes out later this year. So I think I'm probably going to start Dungeon Crawler Carl 7 later today. That's what I think. Delicio says, I started Night Circus by Aaron Morgenstern yesterday. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I do so far. Cool. Awesome. Again, throw it in the comments because I will put this on TBR Mountain. Esme, yes. Hello, good folks. Hello, Esme. Glad you're here. See, I like these daytime streams, you guys, because we can pull in some people on their lunch hours. We can pull in some people who maybe work from home and just want to listen, right? Because, I mean, look at this mug. It's not that much to look at, right? But you can listen to my voice while you work. And, of course, from all of our friends across the pond and beyond, this is actually after work time. So that is kind of cool. And Heidi says, I'm looking forward to you reading Hunger of the Gods, but just stop there so you can finish on a 5-star note. Yeah, so, I mean, there's people that have had real mixed opinions on the finale of the Bloodsworn Saga. I do need to get to book 2 of that. It'll happen in the second quarter. I'm behind you guys. I mean, like I said, I had a couple of books that were not planned for first quarter TBR because, I'm doing these quarterly TBRs, mostly because, and this is another reason why I decided to do the live stream today, is to just kind of be straight with you guys about the kind of content that I want to make on the channel, or to maybe clarify a little bit and to differentiate myself from a little bit from what I was doing before, and to shout out the other people who do things in a different way. So for me, making a TBR video isn't the most exciting video for me to make. And while I know that they do pretty well, it's interesting. Mike has talked about it in the past that people actually tune in more. You get more views on a TBR video. What are you going to read versus reviewing a book that you did read? And, I get that. And for me, though, I want to do videos that I'm fired up to make. And quite honestly, that's why my content output has been a little bit less lately. And, I'm doing about a video a week. I don't think I've missed a week since we started the channel, like, a little over a year ago. Excuse me. Let's have a drink from the That's a Fact pint glass, which is available in the merch store, by the way, linked in the description below. But so I just want to make videos that I'm excited to make. And I don't want to be a slave to the regularity of what is expected of a booktuber. And So I did this quarterly TBR and I did it back in December for first quarter. And a couple of books came onto my list that I did not anticipate. One of them was John and Amy and Jacob's book, Discovery, which I read the arc for at the beginning of January, which is a 5-star read. You guys are going to frickin' love that book. It is fantastic. And the other one literally just came up this last weekend when somebody asked me if I would participate as an alpha reader, which is of interest to me only because I like doing things I've never done before. And I did tell this person, I don't know that I am qualified to be an alpha reader because I know what I like and I know what I don't like, but when it comes to improving a story, I don't know that I'm really the right person to do it. It's out of my expertise field. But this person said, no, I really value your opinion and anything would be meaningful. And so I spent a couple of days reading that book and it is really good, but everything is kind of pushed Malazan out a little bit. And today is already what, February 12th. I don't know if I'm going to read Midnight Tides in February or not, or if I'm going to push it into April because we've got Ships of Merior coming up in March, and I don't want to do Malazan and Wars of Light and Shadow in the same month. So I think I'm going to decide tonight if I'm going to push Malazan to April. I don't really want to. At the same time, the community voted in the Tomb in our community poll for the month of February. And I don't want to not read a community poll book because otherwise, what's the point of doing a community poll if you guys vote a book in and I don't read it? That's just, it doesn't seem like a fair back and forth. And if I read Midnight Tides, I'm not sure I'll have a chance to get to it. I could always start with the Tomb next and just kind of go into Midnight Tides, but I don't know. Again, there's bigger problems in the world than that. So I don't know. I'll figure it out later, I suppose. But anyway, we were talking about content. And so I've been doing one a week and I'll continue to do that. But I really am focused on trying to be a little bit more creative and trying to bring to BookTube and YouTube some things that maybe aren't done all over the place. And I feel like I've got a unique enough voice to do it. And I feel like I'm getting my arms around how YouTube works a little bit. I think the challenge is that when I go outside the box too much, like if Rick Thunder comes out and does a whole video, or if Funky Mirage comes out and does a whole video, it's the worst performing video for sure on the channel, which in and of itself is not that big of a deal. Like, I don't really care if any one video doesn't rock it out. Where it becomes problematic is that sometimes the algorithm will almost punish you on your subsequent videos for a little while until you get a little bit more traction. And I don't want my creativity to slow down future videos too much, because I've been really straight with you guys that I do want the channel to grow, right? I mean, I've never been like, oh, it doesn't really matter to me how many subscribers I have. I've not kind of played that aw shucksy type of thing, because that would be inauthentic. When I get after something, I want to get after something. It's just kind of my makeup. So I've been super clear that, hey, I want the channel to grow. At the same time, when I look at what has brought the most viewers to the channel since I started this, it was the Wind and Truth review. And it's the first and only book review dedicated I've ever done on the channel. I'm glad I made the video, and it's kind of informed me that I should stay on top of, you know, current books that come out. I mean, you're not going to get a Brandon Sanderson book like that to, you know, grow your channel, you know, around. But it's kind of informed me I should pay a little bit of attention to that. At the same time, I don't want to just chase what's currently in fashion or in vogue to build the channel off of. So I'm a little bit conflicted, to be straight with everybody, on how I want to make content moving forward. There are some things that I absolutely love. I love For Whom the Bell Tolls because I think it's a good show. I think that there's not much like it on BookTube that dives deep into some of these personalities that we've all become accustomed to for the booktubers that have been around a long time, and a means of getting to know some of the newer booktubers that maybe they won't share with us as viewers for no other particular reason when they're making videos, right? I mean, if somebody is doing, say they're a relatively new channel and I get them on For Whom the Bell Tolls, they're probably not going to get into their whole backstory if they're doing a TBR video, right? So I think it's neat that we can provide an outlet for something like that. Quilluminati, I love it. That is one of my favorite things that we do. it's, it's challenging, and I know I'm way behind in the comments. I'm going to get to that in a second, but this is a point that I definitely wanted to make today for everybody. I've noticed that, and I've talked to John and Mike and Philip about this, and I've noticed that there are, at least to my knowledge, there aren't any guys over 50 in the fantasy book space that have over 50,000 subscribers. There's zero. Philip is the closest, I think, with 48,000. And I wonder why that is. And I'm trying to figure it out. Like, is YouTube just a younger person's game? And the younger you are, the more likely you are to attract kind of the same demographic, that same generation? I don't know, because there are booktubers that are in their 40s and 50s that are phenomenal and deserve hundreds of thousands of subscribers and 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 views per video. And I just don't see it. And I don't know exactly why that is. And so for me to get an opportunity to do Quilluminati with those guys is just a blast, because we're all Gen Xers. We all kind of grew up with sort of the same sensibilities. And while we're all super different, there's enough backstory that connects Philip and Mike and John and myself that it's a wonderful thing to be a part of. And I don't know, that's staying for sure. Everything else besides For Whom the Bell Tolls, quarterly TBRs, and Quilluminati, I just don't know. And we have this conversation together about every 6 months. When I think about the channel, when I think about my desire to grow balanced against what does it actually take to grow, right? I mean, so yeah, let me go into the comments because I've been just yapping like crazy. For Whom the Selkie Sings. I don't know what that means. Okay. Working from home, knee deep in snow, perfect day for a live stream. Thixblix, I think that's how you say your name, and if it's not, I apologize. Melissa says, just finished the 2 books of the Shami Stovall's, the Kronos Chronicles, Urban Fantasy. Cool, throw that in the comments too, because I want to check that out. Bonus for the audio version, as Jeff Hayes does one of the voices. I mean, Jeff's the GOAT. So, like, in terms of voice actors, I've happened to develop a really cool friendship with voice actor Jonathan McLean. He'll be on the channel in March when we do the live stream interview that Podium is putting together for us. But John and I talk occasionally outside of that, or not John, Jonathan and I talk, and he was just, I want to talk about just an amazing guy for a second. My parents were in Los Angeles during the fires, and it's like, I'm here in Minneapolis, and I was going to go to California. My mom had some surgery, and I was going to go. And I decided that because the doctor had said it was only going to be a 2-hour outpatient deal and that she'd be home the next day, it probably wasn't that big of a deal to go. And it turned out it was a much longer deal. She was in the hospital for a week. And of course, this is when all the fires hit Los Angeles. And out of nowhere, Jonathan McLean sends me a message saying, hey, it's a little bit ashy in the environment that I'm at right now. And I know you're in Minneapolis, but if there's anything I can do for your mom or for your dad, do not hesitate to let me know, and I will go take care of it on your behalf. I mean, that is just like a superhumanly cool thing to do. And so we've developed a friendship. I'm excited to have him back on the channel. So how did I bring up Jonathan McLean? Because somebody said Jeff Hayes, and Jonathan and I were talking about it, and he's like, yeah, Jeff is the best at it. He could do more voices than everybody else. Esme says, I am listening to Sith and Sparrow because apparently I'm a serial killer romance girly from time to time. Esme, we like you for whatever you read here, so I think it's awesome. The dragon is, thank you. Thank you. Somebody noticed that I said I need a dragon that is particularly well dressed for the disco. So yeah, I'm not a big AI guy, but for something like this, I didn't want to do the For Whom the Bell Tolls backdrop, and I thought I'd have a little bit more of a fun type of a background. And she was only Eevee Mux. Actually, Eevee helped me get started with Eevee Mux because she helped me test it. So yeah, Dan reads it all, says, just started it. Only a couple chapters, but it's hooking me. Okay. Oh, he's talking to Marianne. Sometimes it's funny because this is what I love about you guys in the chat in this community as well. I could be literally rambling on about anything, and you guys are having your own conversation. And that is something that I know fully well from watching every single episode of Chatting with Nuts. Jimmy will be having this most engaging conversation with whoever his guest is. And in the meantime, the chat is just, going about their business, having a cocktail party amongst themselves. And I said to myself, when I do these live streams, I hope I can get 1/10 of the conversation between people going on, even if I'm just yapping about absolutely nothing, because as a former bar owner, that's what I like. I like people off in their own little worlds, getting to know each other a little bit better and sharing stories with each other. And yeah, so if I can provide that kind of meeting up spot in the middle of the day, this is very cool. By the way, throw in the comments if you like this midday type of a deal, because I do. I have more energy for it. I've been looking forward to this all week long. And to be honest with you, I don't always look forward to For Whom the Bell Tolls. Now, the minute I turn these lights on and the minute that I turn the camera on, I am all in on For Whom the Bell Tolls. I am fired up. I am ready to go. I'm excited. Actually, even right around about that same time, normally the guest will come backstage with me and we get to chatting a little bit. And some people I know very well, right? So like when John came on, we would just talk about whatever because he's my brother from the South. But when Bookborn was on a few weeks ago, her and I had never had a single communication other than a couple of random Discord messages back and forth. Do you want to come on the show? Yeah, I'd like to come on the show. What day works for you? Okay, this day works for me. That's about it. So it was a blast talking with her backstage before we went live. But sometimes when I'm really working hard on a Wednesday, right, and I look at my watch and I'm like, oh my God, I got to save some energy to put together a good live stream for tonight. That is not always like an exciting moment in my life until that camera comes on, and then I love it. The other part about it is that, and I think if you ask most booktubers that do live streams, they'll probably tell you something similar, that when you're talking a lot and when you're engaging either with chat or with a guest, you get pumped up. And the later I do it at night, the more pumped up I am and the less sleep I get, because there's still a come down factor from the adrenaline of it. And I've actually had some guests message me saying, I didn't sleep the whole night afterwards because I was just so jazzed up and energized and had the adrenaline going from our conversation. I was just wide awake. So yeah, and that used to happen in the bar constantly. I used to get home from the bar somewheres when I was new at it around 4 in the morning. When I had been doing it a little bit longer and was able to, get the thing closed out quickly, it was closer to 3 in the morning. But even then, you're not just falling asleep. You are wired from being up and talking to people all night long. And so I like this kind of daytime thing too, for selfish reasons, so I can actually sleep at night too. But don't worry, we're still doing nighttime From Whom the Bell Tolls. It's all good. All right, I'm trying to go through the comments and sort out from intercommunications between you guys and me. By the way, there's a lot of people watching right now, which is just killer because I don't have a guest, which is just, you guys rock. Anyway. All right, I am too busy writing to read yet, but I have several beta reads from other authors on my table, and they are awesome. You will love these new books. Take a drink from my That's a Fact pint glass, available in the merch store. By the way, we also have One for the Road coffee mugs, One for the Road jerseys, all kinds of cool stuff. You guys should check it out. I also put the links to my BELLFLASK stuff in the description because some people have asked. I don't know. I'm actually thinking about having BELLFLASK sponsor some other channels, but it's a tricky deal because when I did the nightclub book tag, right? And one of the questions in the book tag that I created was pair your favorite drink to a book that you're reading. And I was completely blown away how many people did that tag that said they don't drink at all. Now, I don't drink much anymore, but I promise you I've had enough in my lifetime for 1,000 lifetimes. So it's cool if I just drink my water from my That's a Fact pint glass. God, I'm just pushing merch today. Anyway, so I may do some sponsors streams on some other channels, but I want to make sure that people are maybe using it as a water bottle or for working out or hiking or whatever, because I know that at least at all appearances, the BookTube crowd is not so much of a flask type of an audience. But anyway, that's just kind of random. this is what today's about, is random nonsense. And I am going through comments. Sam says, totally agree. This isn't some dumb YouTube drama to react for clicks. Yeah, you know, I mean, to each their own. Everybody's going to do what they do, right? So I don't know. I'm going to do things the way that I want to do things. And so again, so our Stowe says, oh, it is so nice to nosh about good things, Brian. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And She Was Only Evie says, I'm between work meetings, so just want to stop by and say hi. And Brian, I read and love Dungeon Crawler Carl. Boom. That's awesome. So there are two people that I need to have read this book. They're both Quilluminati members, and one of them is going to read it. It's already on his TBR, and that's Mike. And if Mike doesn't like Dungeon Crawler Carl, then I'm giving him a free pass to get out of Lit RPG forever. So that's fine. The other is Philip, because Philip's, you know, I think he's been exposed to a little bit of Lit RPG through Spiffball. And maybe we'll talk about Spiffball here in a minute too, because I've got some hot takes on Spiffball that I may or may not get some pushback on, and that's okay. But I'd like Philip to check it out too, just because it's so outside of his wheelhouse entirely. But I know Philip also likes video games, so maybe he would dig it. I don't know. Random thoughts, middle of the afternoon. This is what we get here. And where are we in the talks? Northern Minnesota folks are definitely built different. Yeah, no doubt. You know who's built totally different is Nick Horvath, who's from, you know, he's in New Zealand, but he's originally from the border, the Canadian border in Minnesota, which, to kind of give you some perspective, I think it's about a 10-hour drive from Minneapolis up to where Nick is from in Grand Marais. And that dude is built. Yeah, go read Sledge. That's a, you'll know everything about him. Sylvia says, yes, Brian, withstanding cold and drinking deathly amounts of alcohol is in your genre, is in your genes, whatever that's worth. Yeah, true. I mean, she knows my Eastern European Russian background pretty well. And I don't think I look Russian. It's funny because over the years in the bar scene, people always want to know, you know, what's your ancestry? Where are you from? And I used to just say, I'll give you 3 guesses. And not one time in 16 years did anybody ever guess properly at all. Where would you guys think, if you didn't know, if I didn't tell you all that, where would you guys actually think I'm from? Shad says, hey, Brian, how's it going? Chris says, great turnout here, Brian. You need to do more impromptu. I agree. I like doing them. And like I said, some videos we do to bring in new people to the channel, right? So Wind and Truth it happened to be that way. And again, I didn't really set out to get new subscribers from doing a Wind and Truth video. I just felt like I was so mid on the book that it was going to take me some time, more than I wanted to devote into a monthly recap where I normally go over the books, and that it was going to take me a good 20 to 25 minutes to explain what I liked and what I didn't like about it. And yeah, these impromptu lives are fun. What I was saying is those kind of videos, see, guys, this is what you get when you get my age. Those kinds of videos are great for getting new subscribers. These kind of videos are like I want to do these lives for people that are already fans of the channel, for people that are friends with each other, to have a place to get together and hang out in the chat. That's the purpose of this stuff. This is not about trying to find new subscribers today. If you look at the title of the video, it's called Rando Wednesday whatever. Nobody's going to search for Rando Wednesday. Doug, hey Doug, speaking of Lit RPG Sherpas, Doug is my Lit RPG Sherpa. See, we all know somebody that knows more about a topic than we do, and Doug knows more about Lit RPG than I do, and that is saying something. Doug says, I was born in Moorhead. Actual northern Minnesota is different than tropical Minnesota, like the Twin Cities. Yeah, it's in the tropics here. He knows. Moorhead is way colder, no doubt. Tyson says, Long Price Quartet is high on his TBR. Excellent. Shot is reading Age of Swords by Michael J. Sullivan. Very cool. Oh, this guy I've heard about this guy. Is it, I can't see. Is it Mark's Book Reviews? I think it says Mark. My eyes are fading in my old, Mike's Book Reviews. It says Mike's Book Reviews says, hi, Brian, first time listener, long time caller. Well, welcome to BellTube Mike. It's a pleasure to have you here. I will. It sounds like you've got a channel, and it's called Mike's Book Reviews. So I will make sure if you can leave in the comments a link to your channel, so I don't forget, because it's important to me to support up and coming booktubers. And now that you've taken that plunge, I got to be there to support, especially since you've joined us here in the chat. I mean, pretty brave. Brave points for go support that guy, guys. Mike's Book Reviews, I believe, is the name of the channel, and probably got a couple of videos. Probably something that you maybe want to check out. I don't know. Let's see. Even Tori is saying hello. I mean, see, Mike, you come here and you meet all of these amazing new people. Welcome. Absolutely. Look at this. All right, Snow says, Mike, you are setting the example for every booktuber that is new to the game to just stop into the stream and look at all. I bet you you get at least 2 new subscribers for today, and you will get monetized one day, my friend, for sure. Caleb Likes Book says, hey, Brian, hope you're doing well this fine afternoon. Caleb, I am doing great this afternoon. I had a really amazing, productive business meeting this morning, and I think I've been through enough business meetings to know when some are just naturally great, some are seemingly great, and you maybe aren't totally sure, but this one was a really actually great meeting. And I walked away learning something from it. And that does not always happen, particularly when you have a predilection like I do to talk a lot and not sit back and listen as often as I probably should. So this morning was an incredibly valuable meeting to me, and it's put me in a great mood all day long. Mike is waving at everybody. Welcome, just welcome. Love and Lore, hey, Caden, I think this is Caden, says, can't wait to start DCC 7 tomorrow. I am with you. It's really difficult for me to not have started this book already, you guys. And I will tell you something else. This is the only audiobook I do at 1 normal speed because Jeff Hayes is so good. I don't want to like alter his voice in the least. He's just so good. All right. Evie says there are 2 bind-ups, the first and the second books, then the third and the fourth for Long Press Quartet. Okay, good to know, everybody. Evie would know. She is the queen, or one of the queens, of knowing that series. Preacher says, DCC is so good, can't wait to start 7. Yeah, I mean, it's very amazing. Yo, what is going on, Vera? Hi. Hope you're having a nice evening tonight. I'm sure you are. Happy Wednesday. I don't know if you worked today or if you had school today or if you had some combination of both, but I am glad you're here. Oh, okay. So, all right. So I didn't know for sure, guys, because like some people are different privacy level, stuff, and I don't want to share things that I don't just because, right? I don't want to, once you say it on the internet, you can't take it back, right? So the alpha reading book that I did is called Cold Silver for Souls by herself right here on screen, Tori Tekken. This is a fantasy Western. We follow a protagonist in a first-person story, narrative point of view, I should say, of a Western necromancer. It's awesome, and it's episodic in nature, and it's only a book 1. You guys are really gonna like this book. And like I was telling Tori yesterday, I get why she wrote it, because it is so entirely different from her Legends of the Bruhai series, book 1 being the Bloodstones, which is back there on the shelf. And you guys know I've recommended that book a lot, but this is so different in every way that had I not known Tori wrote the book, I don't think I would put it together that this is the same author. She really expands the genre that she's able to write into and almost change the author tone enough that, again, if I didn't know it was her, I wouldn't say in my first 10 guesses this is a Tori Tekken book. Apart from the part where she goes into some details on horses, because I swear to God, if I read anything about a horse, I'll do love to Tori and Janny. Oh my God, I am so horsed out. But I know you guys love horses and you have expertise in horses, but yeah, apart from the parts about the horse, I would have never known this was a Tori Tekken book, and you guys are going to like it. It's going to come out this year still. It's fun. And like I said, it's episodic. So you're going to read the book, and it's one of those kinds of series that you don't need to wait until book 2, book 3, or until the series is complete. Because we all know people like that. And some of you may be like that, that you don't want to read anything until it's a finished series. This is not like that. So you're going to get almost like a standalone adventure, it seems like, in each one of these books, but they are certainly all part of one big story. So I enjoyed it tremendously. My notes back were extraordinarily minimal, mostly because, one, I didn't think that there was much that I could improve the story by, and two, I just liked it as it was. So I suspect that some of her other alpha readers that are more familiar with this process may have some other adjustments, edits, changes, suggestions, what have you, to her book. But just me kind of representing you guys as the BellTube community, as just somebody who's reading the book, I think you're going to like it, particularly if you and I align on our book taste. I think you're going to like it quite a bit. And Tori just keeps improving with everything that she writes. And then she's smiling. And Capricious Fox says, good evening, all. Good evening. And Vera says, really want to read Jonathan Strange. If anybody says Doctor Strange anymore on BookTube, I swear to God, I just did it myself. I really want to read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's really good. I mean, I can't remember if you've read Piranesi or not. If you like the prose, you're going to like this. The story is obviously much grander in scope, and you've got way more characters. But yeah, I think you might like it. Mike says, I got lucky with the whole Long Press Quartet series in one trade paperback. Yeah, I mean, those are really rare to find. And it's good. I think Mike's going to like this book too, because there's elements of that Eastern thing. And I know Mike's a big Shogun fan, and there's just enough magic in the first 3 books that keep it in the realm of fantasy. But book 4, the magic is everywhere. So it's like, for those of you that may have started the series and you're wondering where the magic is, have faith. Daniel Abraham is not going to let you down. Laura is here. Hello, hello. Another author. You guys, we are blessed with authors and booktubers today. This is just awesome. Hi, queens and kings. Talk about a channel that's just exploded. Vera's channel is just bonkers. I love it. And you know what? She makes killer content. There's a reason her channel is growing as quickly as it is, because it's unique and it's fun, and she's just super authentic. And Vera doesn't pull punches. If she likes something, she likes it. If she doesn't, she doesn't, and that's it. Take it or leave it. What you see is what you get. It's pretty awesome. If you've not seen the episode when she came on From Whom the Bell Tolls, it is in the catalog as well. And yeah, Marianne definitely recommends it. She just finished it. And Bards and Books, hey, Usman, can't wait to hear your thoughts. Started Dungeon Crawler Carl 7 yesterday, and it's going great. Yeah, I mean, if you're at book 7 already, you're good to go. For me, the weakest book of all of them, a couple of people have asked me this, so I may as well answer it here. The weakest book is book 3. And not because the story is bad, it's because the level design of the dungeon on the 3rd floor is very confusing. And even Matt Dinneman has said in retrospect that the way that he wrote it, it is hard to visualize in your mind what that particular floor looks like. And it's no spoiler to say that every floor of the dungeon is its own level, right? So if you think in terms of a video game and you're going from different level to level, they're very, very different from each other. And the 3rd book's level is confusing. And I follow stuff pretty tightly, and I was even confused until the end. So for me, that's my least favorite, but it's kind of like saying, which is your least favorite kid, right? I mean, I love all of those books a ton, although I don't think I can even call myself the expert on it anymore, because Ben from Genghis Khan has read these things like 18 times a piece, I think. I don't know, Ben, if you're watching this later. Kudos, my friend. You are the dungeon crawler Carl Sherpa at this point. You could probably recite a few of these from memory. We are going through chat here, and I know some of you guys are talking to each other. So Esme says, thanks so much for thinking of International Palace, Brian. Much appreciated. Of course. It definitely doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I have more energy in the middle of the day, for Sure. Caleb says, I got Hunger of the Gods and Fury of the Gods for Christmas. Love the first book, so I'm excited to read those. Yeah, I really like the first book too. I think my problem with Shadow of the Gods is that I read it directly after House of Chains. And I made myself a promise that I am not reading another fantasy book directly after a Malazan book, because for me, and Malazan's different for everybody, right? For me, this is clearly an all-time favorite series. I will be shocked if by the time I get through book 10, it doesn't usurp Realm of the Elderlings, sorry, Derry, for my favorite series of all time. It's just, I love it. But I know when I read another fantasy book immediately after Malazan, I'm just sort of like, not intentionally, but the back of my mind is comparing it to Malazan, and it's a tough thing, you know, to compare it to. So I made the mistake that time. I won't do it again. I'm always going to read a sci-fi or a lit RPG, probably a sci-fi after every Malazan book, just to get my brain cleared out of fantasy for a moment and go back to it. And says, okay, only the best fantasy novel says, I'm more curious about Mr. Thunder's TBR most times, to be honest. You know what? That's another thing I wanted to talk to you about today. I am contemplating. I actually talked to the owner of the Fantasy Network yesterday about this. I am contemplating on a random weekend when Jimmy is not on live, either on a Friday or a Saturday night, to invite Mr. Thunder to come do the Rick Thunder Power Hour and do a live stream of an hour of only Rick Thunder. I don't know if I can afford it. Probably depends on, you know, stream, you know, how things go with the channel and this and that. But if I could afford it, is the Rick Thunder Power Hour live stream something you guys have any interest in? Let me know in the comments or in the chat. But comments if you are watching later. Marianne says, I don't do TBR videos anymore because I rarely end up following them. Yeah, you know, it can kind of pigeonhole us a little bit, you know, and I found that as a booktuber, I have put undue pressure on myself for the TBR. Nobody has pushed me on that. That is totally a me thing, that when I say I'm going to do something, I want to try to deliver it on it. Then I sit back for a moment and I say, Brian, you know what? Nobody really cares. If I don't finish a book by the end of the month and it takes me an extra week or two, nobody is unsubbing and refusing to watch the channel again because I couldn't finish a book in time. I think that that's a kind of pressure that is so self-induced, and it's something that I did, honestly, for the first year of this channel, that if there was an end of the month coming up and I had to read 300 pages the night before I filmed my end of the month video, I would do it, and it would wreck my night and I would sleep not at all, just for the sake of getting it done. And just having a little bit of experience in this now, I've realized, you know what? Nobody cares. You can read at your own pace. So if you're doing BookTube now, or if you are thinking about doing BookTube, just remember you're only on your own schedule. And to think that everybody is, so, you know, quote unquote, counting on you, they're not. It's not life or death. This is a channel that talks about fantasy and science fiction books. So it's not life or death, guys. All right. That off my chest, right? I mean, we're just getting random, unfiltered BellTube today. Heidi says, on April Fool's Day, play Sylvia's Lord of the Reeds, but you do not have to keep the new TBR. It's a great idea. If you guys have not seen Library Unbounded's TBR, it is without a doubt the best TBR videos that are made on a monthly basis because it's very interactive. She has made a game that is, she plays it, you know, live while, you know, not live, but she plays it and records the whole thing, edits it, puts it together, and it is phenomenal. She invented a video, she invented this game. She's got real cards. She's gone above and beyond, and now she's actually made it so there's a digital version that if you want to download it and play the game yourself, you can do it. I am so jealous of her technical skills as I drink from my That's a Fact pint glass, available in the merch store. I am so jealous of her technical skills. It's phenomenal. But Heidi, that is a really good idea. Or maybe what we would do is, I think we would do a live stream, and I'll get Sylvia back on and I'll have her roll the dice and she can move my dude around the board And that way you guys get the more professional looking way of doing it rather than me trying to copy. Laura says TBRs and mood readers do not jive. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's probably true. For me, I am more like Mike in the regard that I like to set the schedule and know what I'm going to read, plan for it. I don't know. I'm not that big of a mood reader. I don't know that I ever really have been. I think I've always kind of been a scheduler when it comes to what I'm going to read. And clearly doing BookTube forces that on you a little bit because I mean, we're talking about books here, right? As opposed to these random lives where we literally talk about whatever we feel like. But for me, I want to think a little bit more in advance about what I may be talking about. But is it limiting? A little bit. I think that's why I'm doing the quarterly TBRs more. That way I have wiggle room within the quarter to do some mood reading. So I've got that whole pot of books that are going to get read in the next 90 days. And I get to choose sort of which one I'm in the mood for at whatever time. So a little bit of the best of both worlds. But what Laura says absolutely makes sense. Preacher says, can't wait to read Discovery. It's on deck for March. If he sent you an arc, then yes. Otherwise, it comes out in May. It's so good. It's so good. It's like, I have not read a book that blends genre as much as the Minton's book does. We are talking about urban fantasy, cosmic horror, science fiction, post-apocalyptic. It's everything all smushed into one with POVs from all over planet Earth. And so you get perspectives, not only from different people, but people with very different cultural upbringings on the events of what has been discovered. Because obviously the book's called Discovery, something has been discovered. And we're getting all these just incredibly clear viewpoints from many, many different perspectives. And it's brilliant. I legit can't believe that they wrote this. It is like, I mean, I can, because Amy's a phenomenal writer and Jacob and John have such incredible imaginations. But this is another one, again, like if I didn't know that they wrote the book, I wouldn't just say this was written by Talking Story. I'd have no idea. But yeah, you guys are going to love that book. Mike says, I had to move down to monthly TBRs about a year ago. Just too many good Rex and FOMO. Yeah, I totally get that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, something is goofed up with my EV Mux we were talking about earlier about like how, there we go. Comments get a little screwed up. Yep, a little bit. Brian, you need to love reading in order to truly review books. It becomes a chore or too stressful, lose all the joy. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, it's not like this is a job, right? Where, the YouTube company, Google, called me up and said, hey, Brian, we want to put you on the payroll and we're going to send you a bunch of books and we're going to give you a check every 2 weeks to read and review these books. If that's the case, then great. But since it is not, then yeah, this has got to be just a purely passion project. And that's really what it is. Marianne says, I can't wait until May for Discovery. I'm always in the mood for Lovecraftian horror. Yeah, you're going to get that there. And I have to tell you guys, if you're not into cosmic horror or not, fear not. I am not either. I am not a Cthulhu person. I'm not an H.P. Lovecraft person. I don't ever really read horror much, which is bad because Swan Song is one of my favorite books of all time. And I didn't realize how much horror was in the book until I was already sucked in and engrossed into the story. And at that point, I was like, oh, okay, this is also a horror book. But I have my own kind of preconceived notions about what horror is. And I was very, very wrong. So even if you're somebody that's like, oh, I'm not into the Cthulhu mythos or anything like that, trust me, this is still going to work for you because it really did for me. And I'm the last person that is really into that. Juan Pablo says, hey, Brian, hello from Costa Rica. If you like fun, lighthearted urban fantasy, you should check out Rachel Aaron, great author. Hey, put it in the comments. I will take a look and add it to TB Mountain. Jeriel says, thoughts on the Daniel Green situation? I talked about that a little bit. It's a shame. I mean, it's just, it's awful for the victim. It's awful for the BookTube community. It's awful for people who, are friends with him IRL that, have been so let down. It's bad for everybody. So it's just There's not much I can really say it other than it's terrible. It's awful. I've, because I've been in the nightclub business, or I was for so long, I have heard horror stories, right? And I've learned, to try to parse through as much as I can. And, I watched Naomi's video, and to be honest with you, what they say resonates. I buy it. I believe it. So it's like, it's gross and it's a bummer. And, we will move on, as a community. The community itself is much bigger than any one person. And it really doesn't make a difference if that person happens to be at the top of the mountain, for the day. One thing I can share with you, just having lived some life, is that change is inevitable. And whether it's brought on just by change itself or brought on by something incredibly gross and dumb and just all the other, bad things that change occurs, it's inevitable. So yeah, we move on. We're a booktube community, and I assure you there are plenty of amazing channels out there that can provide you all the entertainment in the world and less of the yucky stuff if that's what you're feeling. So I get it, and I feel as gross as kind of everybody else does about it. So, or at least as most people feel about it. So that's my thoughts. I don't know. I know it's a little bit generic, but I just don't see the whole big point in, deep diving into it, because it's not, it sucks. That's my 2 words. It sucks and gross. Chadia, hello, lovely community. Hello, Chadia. Jerome, hello. Chris says, only buddy reads get scheduled for the month for me. The rest is whatever I'm in the mood for to pull off the shelf. And you know what, Chris? I think that works really well for you, because you're also torn between being a writer and your day job. And I don't know how you do it. I look at people that have, Mike is the best example of this, okay? And I'm not kissing Mike's ass because he's in the chat. This is truth, and this is not anything I haven't told Mike before. The fact that the dude has a full-time job, reads voraciously, right? And, he'll say, well, I only read 5 books compared to the 13 books that other booktubers read. Fine. Mike's also got a wife, 2 kids, a life, and he's still putting out 3 videos a week, and he's done that for 5-6 years. That is insane consistency. And it's just like, I get why the fact that, some people can, only do 1 video a week or 1 video every 2 or 3 weeks, because they've got so much going on. And Chris, so the fact that you can write and have your day job and do a YouTube channel and read books is amazing. And the fact that Mike can have everything that he's got going on and do all those videos a week and edit them himself and make the thumbnails himself and do all of that, that's bonkers to me. That's really good. The only one I know that makes as many videos, honestly, is probably John. But let's face it, John is the star. He just comes in, sits in his chair, turns the lights on, hits the button, has to make sure the red light is on, talks for, I don't know, how long are talking story videos? Like 2 hours these days, something, maybe 3. I don't know. I know I've watched an entire miniseries on one TV, and I think I watched one entire season of Game of Thrones on one channel and had 1 episode of John's TBR on the other, and I think they ended around about this. Brother from the South, I'm always going to roast you at absolutely every opportunity. Anyway, yeah, I don't think John could do 3 videos a week if he was doing editing. And yeah, so I vote to absolutely ignore the community poll. Well, I don't know. I mean, I like doing the community poll because it gives everybody a voice that doesn't have to be a patron to make a vote. And I totally understand why other channels do their voting through Patreon. And I think it's legit, and I think it's fair, and I do not disparage anybody from doing that at all. Here's where I'm at with Patreon. And I've told this to a couple of newer booktubers that have come up in the last year, because I don't know why they ask me for advice, because there's people like Mike and Philip and everybody else have been around longer than me, bigger channels, and have their arms around this better. But they've asked me what would I do different? one of the things that I would do different is I'd have waited till about now to do the Patreon. I started it way too early. I got a little bit ahead of myself, and I don't regret having one. I love the patrons of this channel, right? Some of them are in the chat today. Heidi's here. There's Slay's here. There's people that I legit, right from the bottom of my heart, the fact that they've supported this channel as long as they have is just incredible to me. But I think that I got a little bit ahead of myself starting a Patreon before the channel was really kind of up and running, because I feel like in some regard, it's like, who am I, right? I mean, why am I starting a Patreon when I'm new at this? I don't really know what I'm doing yet. And the thought that the channel might get big, the thought that the channel might be of value to people isn't enough, in my retrospective opinion, to start a Patreon as early as I did. That said, it's been terrific. We've had like next to nobody leave the Patreon, which from what I understand is quite rare. And it's not like I give them tons of value. You can ask any of the patrons. I might be the least probably active creator out there when it comes to dealing with Patreon, but they know that I'm there for them at any time, and they can message me literally about whatever. And they're always, at the very least, going to get an open ear and somebody to listen to them. And I think a lot of the times that's all we really want. We want someone to pay attention to us and to listen to us, and not necessarily even to give us advice, but to just be a friendly ear to vent to or to just shoot the crap with. So yeah, anyway, again, random live stream, you guys. I don't know what we're getting into today. We're just talking about whatever. Mike says, for me, it's more about being a creature of habit and routine versus being a slave to the system, but I get where you're coming from. Keep things fun for you. Yeah, absolutely. Mike is, Mike gets it. This is not his first rodeo at all. Laura says, I can't get past this disco dragon, right? And you know how weirdly perfectionist I am about like stuff. I spent 10 minutes before I went live making sure it looked like the dragon was holding me up. So it looks like it's holding the card where I'm sitting here, gabbing at you guys. That took a little bit to do because the dragon was smaller in the original thing, but I had to use my, 7th grade editing skills to try to make this happen. But hey, where else can you go where you're going to get a dragon in a 3-piece suit under the disco balls holding up a card with a 50-plus-year-old booktuber? I mean, come on, you guys. It sells itself. That's terrible. Just awful. Only Best Fantasy Novel says Joe Abercrombie literally wrote a book on what the wisdom of crowds is like. Yeah, Alan agrees. He is not for democracy. I think Alan was very upset when another book beat out An Autumn War to read for the book of the community poll. He's like, do not have a democracy. Do not listen to the people. Alan has his opinions. He likes it. Speak of the Illuminati devil himself, John Minton from Talking Story, you might have heard of this channel, says we need more thunder. Well, John, you might get that. You might get that. Dan says, I read too slow to follow a schedule. Wind and Truth took me forever. It took me a long time too. And all I can say is thank God Brandon Sanderson's prose is so accessible and reads quick, because if that book was a Malazan level density or even a Janie Wirtz, sentence structure wise, and I say that only on your first or second book of Janie Wirtz. Once you read her stuff, your brain assimilates how she writes, and you read it as fast as you can read anything else. It just takes a second for you to get a little bit, into the way that she structures sentences. But yeah, if Wind and Truth was a little bit more of a challenging read, yeah, everybody would have been reading that sucker for months. Absolutely. Ari Snow says, I love Disco Dragon too. Maybe we'll have Disco Dragon back here a little bit more. Yeah, we've got Mystic River coming up. Read Midnight Tides in March. Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, I can't do Midnight Tides in March because I'm already reading Ships of Merior, which is Wars of Light and Shadow in March. And there is zero chance I can do Wars of Light and Shadow and Malazan in the same month without my brain exploding. But I promise you, if the brain does go nuts and I just have a meltdown, I will do it live. So you guys can tune in. But yeah, I'm excited for Mystic River. And you know what's really cool is everybody who's reading Mystic River, including all the people that have never read it before that are, reading along with us, they're fired up for it too. Between Brian Lee Durfee and Josh over at Red Fury Books, those two have been such huge advocates for Dennis Lehane since I've been watching BookTube. And it's just nuts that none of us have read this. Maybe Mike read No, Mike saw the movie Shutter Island, I think, but hasn't read any Dennis Lehane either. And we're all legitimately excited for it. I will also pitch Mike's Discord here saying that he started a Quiluminati channel within the Mike's Books Review Discord. And if you want to chat with us at any time or discuss the books as we read them or after we've read them, you'll definitely have a place to do that. And you do right now, which is super cool. Laura says, like, I'm trying to listen to you, Brian, but my eyes cannot leave Disco. Look, Laura, if I had to be looking at me or Disco Dragon, why would anybody be looking at me right now? I mean, come on, I'm not Alan. I don't have the baby Atticus to hold up and make myself look amazing. Yeah, so Disco Dragon is what everybody's going to have to be dealing with here today. Preacher says, my TBR screwed, said yes to some arcs, not mad about it, but hey, yeah, I think, Preacher, as your BookTube creator journey continues, it's a very slippery slope to do, because all of a sudden people start offering you books, right? They may send you book mail, they may send you a file that's got an ebook, and your immediate response is, yeah, I want to, it's like, I'm honored to be asked to read your book, and you want to do that. And then you start to run into some time constraints. And then you start to realize that the quality level is going to vary tremendously, particularly in indie. And it's really hard to sift through what you're actually going to read. One of the things that I've said, and I learned this from Mike, so it's a good day for Mike to be tuning in, but I learned this from Mike, saying that when people offer me a book now, I basically say, here's the deal. If you want to send me a hard copy, I will show it during the book haul. If you want to send me an e-copy, I will show a digital photo of it during the book haul. I make absolutely no promises of reading it anytime soon, if ever. It just sort of depends on how the channel goes and what comes up and this and that. And I'm just super clear about it at the beginning. And I've had some people say, hey, that's no problem. Let me send you the book, and I appreciate any publicity. That'd be great. I've had some people say, you know what, I've tried that on other channels. Thanks, but no thanks. Not interested in sending you a book if you will not read it and review it for me. So, and you know what, I get that. It's not the most mature way to handle business, but I get it. If you have been in sales for any period of time, or like John's been an actor his whole life, and you get kind of tired of rejection, and sometimes it becomes really easy to say, you know what, screw this. I'm sick of the rejection. I'm not doing it. And that's that. And I get it. I mean, I've been in sales. Look, I've been told no more times in my career, okay, when it comes to selling. That's everybody, right? But, I'll use a baseball adage that, if you get 3 out of 10 hits, you are a Hall of Fame baseball hitter. 3 out of 10 is incredible. And a lot of authors, I think, after they maybe have been doing it for a while and they're not getting traction, like any other creative or any other industry where you're required to sell, because that's what you have to do now as an indie author. You're not just the author, you're the salesperson, you're the marketing person, you are all of it. And if you're not able to withstand the rejection that comes along with that, that's a huge problem, because you need to develop thick skin as quickly as possible and realize that other people have lives, other people are busy. And in particular, far and away, most booktubers, this is a hobby, right? There's a lot of monetized channels that make some money, okay? But if you've got a family, forget it, right? YouTube is not paying health benefits, right? YouTube is not providing the company vehicle. In AdSense itself, even on views, isn't tremendous. The channels that are really doing well are either sponsored channels or just get tons and tons of views, regardless of what content they put out or whatever. But please understand that, as authors that you may be out there talking to booktubers, it's a passion project. And we're not, we're humans just like everybody else. And yeah, that's what I have to say about that. See, again, we're just going off on strange tangents. Look at Slay gifting 5 BellTube memberships. Thank you, Slay. You are the best, Mr. Slay. Absolutely. Okay. Shad, welcome. Preacher, welcome. Sarah, you are already a member, but you're back as a member. By the way, you get the custom emojis when you are a channel member. So there's that, right? You get Rick Thunder and Funky Mirage, all of that stuff. So that's very cool. Look at all that. That's super cool. Adrian, welcome to the membership. Awesome. Thanks, Slay. You are the dude. All right, let's see. Let's keep going through some comments. You guys, we have like 100 people here in the middle of the day. I'm going to just keep going for a while because like you guys are seemingly into this and I got nowhere I absolutely needed to be. I have one business call I need to make with my dad in a little while, but besides that, we are pretty good to go. Slay is the best, right, Mike? Mike knows. Slay has absolutely supported booktubers like in ways that it's just impossible to describe. And I'm not talking about just like donos to the channel or gift memberships or anything like that. If you know the kind of work he's doing over as a mod on the Talking Story Discord, then you know what I'm talking about. But Slay is just a big, I mean, you talk about reciprocal. Slay has gotten, and he'll be the first to tell you this, so this is not telling you anything that you shouldn't know. Slay has received more from the booktube community than he could ever give back. And so the way that he reciprocates in ways that he's able to, through participation, through showing up through these lives, through modding in John's Discord, just through being a constant positive force is just incredible. So Slay, you get an extra shout out today because this isn't just from me. This is from all the channels that you support, and there are a lot of them, and it doesn't go unnoticed. And some of us creators behind the scenes, will say from time to time, yeah, that Slay is just, there's just something different about him in the best of possible ways. So thank you. Esme says, any all BellTube content is top tier content. Thank you, Esme. Esme writes the best reviews, you guys. Oh my God. It's like, she writes this review for John and, Amy and Jacob's book. And I'm writing book good, right? Esme is like, the words just flow. And I'm like, hey, yeah, it's awesome. Anyway, yeah, look at all the Slay love. Look at that. All right. John says, what up, Mike and all? Esme is saying hi back to John. All right, I'm going to still keep going through these comments. Mike says, Sanderson vids always bring me new viewers, both nice and mean ones. Yeah, so, I mean, it's interesting because the bigger of a channel that you have, at least it's been what I've noticed, the more likely people feel more free to kind of throw out sort of garbage comments. And I don't really know why that is. There's no real reason for it, right? If somebody didn't like what I put, they could blast me if they wanted to. I promise you, no one's ever going to say anything worse to me in the comments ever than I've been told in person in the nightclub, ever, not in a billion years. So that stuff, the mean stuff, Mike takes it with a huge grain of salt and he has some fun with it, which is great. But it's not always like that, right? And look, Mike is a mature, person that has lived through the ups and downs of the world. And there's a lot of creators that are just kind of getting started and haven't built up the, as I call it, rhino skin, the thick skin to deal with this stuff. And it can be really hard. And I think also for female booktubers a lot, they can get some comments that are just totally out there and totally creepy and just not even worthy of anybody's time. But at the same time, they're there to talk about books, not to read creepy, weirdo, yucky comments. So, back to Mike's point, Sanderson always brings new viewers. It's a challenge for me because I've read all the Sanderson books already. So has Mike. And I don't really want to make a ton of Cosmere content. John was able to do that because when he started Talking Story, he was unfamiliar with Brandon Sanderson entirely, and he did a year plus of Cosmere catch-up where there was always something about Brandon Sanderson to be discussing. And I've told John many times, I'm really jealous of all the series that he's yet to read because they're series that are absolutely booktube darlings that he's going to get a lot of people that tune in to check it out. But I mean, I've already done Realm of the Elderlings and A Song of Ice and Fire and Wheel of Time. And yeah, I guess Malazin's the newer one for me that I can kind of be part of the bandwagon. But Malazan has a very particular following. And I'll say that the Malazan following is very, they love it. If you're into book 3 or 4 at that point, they're into it, except for Mike on Toll the Hounds. But I have great faith Mike will get through that for sure. Where are we here? Matt, go read books. Now, I'm going to say this out loud because I know some of you guys listen to this rather than watch it. So nobody ever does this when Matt comments, but he spells the word go in a very Cajun New Orleans style, spelled G-E-A-U-X. G-E-A-U-X. Read books. Because I know a lot of the times we say go read books, and then people may want to go Google it or YouTube search for go read books, and you're spelling it as you would spell go, and it's not coming up. And Matt is one of the most authentic people you're gonna find on BookTube. He reads at a pretty rapid pace. He's read some incredible books. He's not afraid to tap out when he doesn't like something, which is admirable, coming from a person that never DNFs anything except for the worst book that was ever written on planet Earth. But, Matt is worth checking out, and he's just a terrific human being. And he was part of Team Philip Chase for Spiffbo wait, were you, Matt? Yeah, I can't remember. You know what? I honestly don't remember if you were on a team. This is how sieve of a brain. I'm getting John Minton brain all of a sudden. Anyway, I'm going to spell it again. G-E-A-U-X. Read books. All right. Where are we here? Quilluminati is fun. Yeah, I think you spelled it right, Jay. It is fun. It is fun. It is good. Hello, hello, hello. You know what? You know who one of my favorite booktubers is that eventually I want, we've got these bucket list booktubers that we want to have come on the channel. One of them just fell off yesterday, of course, but Gavin Reads It All is just, I love watching his lives. He's just high energy and fun and just creates such a warm ambiance for what he does. It's just fantastic. I know that him and Mike are trying to set up a time for a Talk About Nothing, so this would be far after that because Mike Sama comes first in these types of things, in my opinion. But yeah, I love these lives, and I don't know why I thought about Gavin for a minute, but I think it's because I've watched him during the daytime before, and I realized how much I actually like listening to book talk in the middle of the day. It's fun. Jerome says, old guys reading One Piece is the key to success. You know what? All right, so we haven't talked about this, but I started reading One Piece yesterday, and I don't know that I'm even going to read it, right? I have the first, books 1, 2, 3 that, you go buy at Barnes & Noble that's got it bound together. And I watched, the only thing I know about One Piece is that I watched all of season 1 of the live adaptation, and I really enjoyed it. And I am a comic book guy by heart, right? So I was sharing with Andrew Meredith over in, it was either Tori's Discord or somebody's Discord, author Andrew Meredith, really super, super guy. Check out his books. But he was asking about comic books, and I have read since, I want to say maybe 1979 up until maybe 1997-ish. I had read every episode or every edition of Spider-Man that came out, all the Justice Leagues, all the Green Lanterns, all of that stuff. And so one would think that manga would be something that I would be drawn to. And yet, for some reason, it just never drew me in. I never watched anime at all. Anime kind of came up after I had already kind of got out of my, I hate to say cartoon phase because it's not. It's more the animated phase. I was more out of that by then in my life. And so I sort of missed out on the anime stuff. But manga, I don't know. It never really occurred to me to read it. And then I started going to Barnes and Noble and saw that manga had overtaken these sections of the fantasy area that were quite honestly larger than the science fiction areas. And I was like, all right, something's going on here. And part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that a lot of these books, for one, they're huge series, right? And for two, there's a lot of really big volumes that if you put them physically on the shelf, just by nature, they take up a ton of space, in the real estate of the store. But I also know from a business perspective, there's no way Barnes & Noble gives that kind of real estate in their store for something that's not profitable and selling. So, I've watched Philip do his One Piece stuff, and, I'm real hesitant to do much about it because I feel like the One Piece crowd is mostly there for One Piece, and I'm not a One Piece channel, and I'm not a manga channel by any stretch of the imagination. But I am reading it just to see if I like it. If I like it, it'll probably be something that I'll continue with, but it's mostly kind of on I've got 10 minutes to throw in some reading here. I can't do a Malazan chapter. I can't do a lit RPG thing at the moment, but I've got 10 minutes to read One Piece, so let's just do that. And if Philip says that there's amazing story behind it, I don't know anybody that can judge the quality of story quite like Philip, so I'm sold there. All right, where am I here? All right. I am way behind in chat. I apologize. Mike says, One Piece vids flopped on my channel, but it's mostly true. I don't know, man. I don't know. But you've had plenty that have not. So, yeah, so again, I've mentioned this before. Here's the greatest name on all of YouTube, Hobby Vomit. Hi, all. Happy Wednesday. Hobby Vomit, you do have the greatest username in the history of YouTube. I don't know what else I can say. I thought BellTube was great branding, but if I could go back and do it all over again, I might even call myself Hobby Vomit because it's that good. Yeah, Mike says, I think us Silverbeards have a ceiling for the type of audience we can attract. It might be true. It absolutely might be true. And one of the things that I've kind of shared with my Patreon, people, and I'll just share, here today too, since there's 100 of you tuned in, and why not? Maybe some of you guys are watching later. I am real focused on my day-to-day company right now. Amazon, if you guys are unaware, I sell my products on Amazon, and they have been just a nightmare really since about Thanksgiving. And I'm expanding outside of that, and I'm working on optimizing my Amazon stuff. I'm doing all the things there that I can. And I still love doing YouTube. And I'm starting to feel like I understand how this works a little bit. Not nearly as well as somebody who's been doing it for 2, 3, 4, 5 years at all, because that's just not realistic. I think that you need professionally to do something for more than a year and a couple of months to really feel like you got your arms around it. But I feel like I'm better at it right now than I was about a year ago. And one of the things that I've been contemplating is starting another channel. And don't worry, BellTube content isn't going anywhere. It wouldn't be any time away from BellTube, and it wouldn't reduce our BellTube content. But I do think that there might be interest in a podcast about nightlife. And my thought would be that rather than it would be a totally separate channel, it would talk about bar life and nightlife and working in nightclubs and attending nightclubs and going to bars and the do's and the don'ts and what's VIP stuff and what's it like to be a security guy in a nightclub and what's it like to be a promoter and how do you get to be a DJ and all that stuff. And my thought is that I would do it live, probably not with my books behind me. I'd try to find a different area of the house to do this. And I would always have a live guest with me, because the beauty about how long I've been in this business, I know a million promoters and DJs and security guys and bartenders and VIP servers and normal servers and barbacks, and the list goes on, where I feel like when you've got two people, look no further than Talking Story, when you've got more than one person at the show, it adds such life. And I think that would be something that, while I know a lot of booktubers would have no interest in because they're not really in alignment, right? Nightlife and fantasy science fiction books, there's not a big Venn diagram where there's a whole lot of people in the middle right there. There's some, and maybe some people would support it just to get this channel started. But I think that in terms of Mike's comment here, there may be a higher ceiling for a wider genre, because it's a bigger thing. but who knows? And I definitely have credibility there because there's not a whole lot of YouTubers that owned a real large nightclub for as long as that I have. So I've got some street cred when it comes to that. So anyway, where are we? We're just rambling, blah, blah, blah. Go Read Book says, I don't see a ton of growth, but my main goal for the channel, and this is just a personal thing, is to make connections and to do more stuff with other creators. And that is a phenomenal goal. And I promise you, Matt, and everybody else is watching, I wish sometimes that was in my nature. It isn't. It's my nature to want to just grow and maximize and do all of those things. And it's not always the healthiest mental in the world, particularly if you're somebody like me that pays attention to views and subscriber counts way too often. To give you an example, like YouTube will tell you in real time what your subscriber count is. Amazon will tell me in real time what my daily sales are to the minute. At the bar, I had an app on my phone that was connected to our point of sale system that would tell me not only in real time what our sales were, but the exact ticket, right? This person bought a Bacardi Diet Coke. This person bought a Long Island iced tea. And I could drill down to the exact drink that was ordered. And that is not a healthy way to run a business. You become so micro-focused instead of bigger picture, long-term goals, all this stuff. You are living for the next 10 minutes. And my favorite person when it comes to this stuff is John, because John doesn't look at any of that stuff. I mean, not at all. I look at it way too much. I am sure that there is a healthy balance somewhere in the middle. I have yet to find it. But again, you guys, I tell you this stuff because I want to be authentic and I want to be honest. And I said this earlier in the stream. If you're just kind of catching it now, I'll repeat it. I've been so clear that I want to grow the channel. And I don't like, it's challenging for me to not say that, right? Because I don't want to be the aw shucks guy and whatever happens, happens if I don't honestly feel that way. Because I don't think I'm the right channel for somebody that doesn't want kind of what's actually going on in my mind. I think that that's why people tune in here, is they're interested in the things that I think about. And so these are things that I think about. Anyway, all right, where were we? Hobby Vomit, Silver Foxes. You know what? I almost dyed my beard the other day, and I'll tell you why. I was going through Instagram, and I don't know if it's because of the demographics, right? Like they know all the everything about everything, right? They know how old everybody is, and they just must assume, or their analytics, when you upload a photo of yourself and their AI takes a look at it and says, oh, okay, silver fox beard. Every 3 ads is something for a beard coloring dye to make it dark again. And it's so funny because if you look at my YouTube photo and, you know, that's got me behind the orange bar, it's actually a red bar, but in that photo, it kind of came out kind of amberish orange. I am like, this is like a photo from like 10 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer. And my beard is as dark as it gets. And I don't know, I was scrolling through those and I was like, you know what, maybe they're onto something. Maybe I ought to do that. And then I thought about it for a second. I was like, I would look so dumb right now if I just had this, came on and had this, you know, brown beard like I did that long ago. But I don't know, maybe we'll do like I don't know, maybe we'll do something fun. Like we'll do like a fundraiser or something. And if the stream raises enough cash, I'll dye the beard a certain color or something like that. I don't know. We can make it fun. Ash says, I should have clarified For Whom the Selkie Sings was a book I enjoyed and recommend. Okay, cool. Put it in the comments so I know. Hey, Illuminati gets to say, I didn't get fired. Neat. See? Exactly, Mike. You can't get fired. You're Mike Sama. There is no way. Well, this on the other hand, I mean, John, I'm sorry, but Mike and Philip and myself, we had a secret meeting yesterday, and I mean, I don't want to say double secret probation, but you know, I don't know. God, I love roasting my brother in the South. He's the greatest. All right. Zoom Fantasy says, hi, y'all. Good to see you too. And, oh, that's for Esme. Okay. Some R's here. Yes. Esme says, thanks, Brian. We listen and we don't judge here. Yeah, thank you, Esme. Esme probably won't like my next segment, so let me get into that as I think about it, because Esme and I had a little bit of a disagreement, and she was right in some regard, and I got a little hot-headed, and my inner nightclub owner went flying loose on X. I don't know, maybe a couple of months ago or whatever. But we were talking about Spiffbo and the judging, and I don't know that I'm the right person to be a sub judge for Spiffbo. Maybe, and this is nothing that I haven't told Philip already. So I may do it again next year, and I may not. And I think the reason is I just have a fundamental issue that is not shared by most other people that are involved with Spiffbo. This is kind of a Brian issue. I don't think it's a I think it's a me thing, if that's a thing. And that is that there's really no standardized way of judging these Spiffbo books. And I appreciate Mark Lawrence so much for creating this. And what he's done for indie authors is, it's second to none. He is absolutely put books on the map that none of us would have heard of otherwise. So what I'm about to say is against that backdrop, right? Because I think that he has created something absolutely wonderful. There are some fundamental issues that I just disagree with, and that is how judging of the books go. And that it is, I was unaware of the word rubric before, and I guess that's kind of like a set of guidelines. I didn't know that word until I brought it up in a chat, but there's no real set of guidelines for judging Spiffbo. And the fate of any particular book is very much in the hands of whichever team happens to get it. And hopefully you get a team that either is into the genre that you write or is sort of like what I did, and I will toot my own horn about this because it's something that I'm proud of, that is willing to read every single word of every single page and give it a critique against, is this doing what it set out to do? Because not every book is going to be for me, right? And I'm aware of that, but I didn't really impact or think about how I went about my experience with Spiffbo subjudging. And as I read other reviews that come in, there are very, very different ways that other judges are going about it. It's not right or wrong. It's just not necessarily the way that I am personally in love with. And it's frustrating to me because I took it so seriously, and I see that there's other judges that don't finish the books and yet still somehow get to put, their 2 cents out there and be part of a rating. Or I read one yesterday where somebody skimmed through the last third or the last half of the book and was still part of creating a rating score. And to me, I just like, if you're not going to finish it, or if you're just going to skim through it, then maybe it's not great to have participation in the judging of it. Again, this is a me thing, probably more than anything else. So I bring it up, like I said, because, I just feel like if for some reason you guys don't see me as a sub judge next year, it's not because Philip didn't want me to. It's because I just kind of have a bit of an issue that there is no judging of the judges. There's no, it's not Mark's job to do it, in my opinion. I mean, he's set out a great platform for indie fantasy authors to get their books read. That's all he really needs to do. I don't think that is his full-time job to judge the judges. I just, like I said, personally, and I know I'm ranting about this a little bit, but I just personally wish that there was a little bit more of a measured, standardized criteria that at least went into some of this. Like, you have to finish the book. Or if you don't finish the book, or if you just skim the book, your points don't matter. And another thing that I floated out there that was fairly resoundingly rejected, and my recently acquired friend Bookborn and I disagree on this. I'd thrown out a thing saying, hey, if there's 10 different teams judging books and they all come up with a different score, why don't we throw out the worst score and throw out the top score and get rid of all the outliers and average everything else together and maybe get a little bit more of a consistent score across each of these books, so no one outlier sinks or makes the day for any one particular book. That idea was pretty resoundingly rejected, and that's okay. Again, I'm so new to this, you guys. It was a creative thing that I thought of to maybe get rid of outliers. Nobody seemed, a few people seemed to agree with me, but mostly did not. And that's okay. And that just sort of like tells me that maybe that particular competition isn't the right one for Brian Bell. Will I read Spiffbo books? Absolutely. Will I be a judge next year? Maybe. I don't know. I just kind of want to see how things shake out, if that makes sense. And I kind of want to see how the rest of the reviews go to see if my sensibilities are kind of in line with the rest of the contest. And if they're not, then they're not. The other challenge that I have with Spiffbo, and this is nothing, there's no way to solve this problem, is that the people that are selected to be part of this, or the, sorry, I should say the books, it's all done by random lottery because way more books get entered than there are ways to read these books, right? And have a manageable amount of books to get through, right? 300 is about the max. And all the credit in the world to the people that do this without a team, like Philip did last year, where they read all 30 books themselves. Then they go and read all other 9 books that come back to them. They're reading 39 books. That is insane. The problem is that when you do it by lottery, inevitably a book that could have won might not even be pulled out of the random lottery. So another thought and a suggestion that I made, and I don't think it was very well received, was if a book has been entered before and it wasn't pulled out of the random lottery to participate, give it a little bit of an extra weight. So instead of, 1 ball in the hopper for each book, maybe that book gets 2 balls, right? Because it was in last year, it didn't get pulled. Let's try to give it a little bit of a chance to come up again instead of randomly maybe missing out again. Again, that idea didn't seem to get much traction, so I'm not sure my ideas are right. By the way, I'm drinking some water out of a That's a Fact pint glass available in the merch store. Now, I have ignored comments while I went off on that for way too long. Let's take a look and see what we got here. What's the old line on YouTube again? Asking for a friend. I know I'm going to be way back. I know I'm behind. I apologize. I will get to this when I go off. Stepan, it has been a hot minute since I have seen you, and I see that you've changed your title, and I actually like it, Broken English Book Reviews. Stepan, welcome back, man, from another author, another great author, and I actually read one of Stepan's books, and it was quite good. Ari Snow says, I'm super old and just enjoy my little channel for general weirdness and book updates, but the algorithm really seems to like my time-lapse drawing the best. So very cool. You got to do what's fun for you. Esme says, I am here for all the midday streams. So happy to be able to join live. Well, it's awesome to have you here, Esme. You are just a fan favorite of every booktuber. We talked about Slay earlier. Let's shout out Esme too, because you know what? She is like so super supportive of everybody. Yeah, Esme rocks. I think that it's a pretty common sentiment. I have to show this comment. I don't even know what the comment says, but it came from Hobby Vomit. So I got to do it. I just finished Best Served Cold and it seriously blew me away. Have you read it, Brian? Anyone else has loved it as much as me? Yes, I have read everything in the First Law universe and I loved Best Served Cold. And I actually think it's a great starting point for where they're going to do the movie because it is standalone. And it's a great revenge story. I know that there's some people that don't love it as much as I do, but I love the Motley Crue theme. Speaking of, Tori earlier, she's a big Motley Crue person, and I'm not talking about the band, I'm talking about, the book styles. But Best Served Cold has probably his best Motley Crue of all of his books. And yeah, I liked all the characters. I liked how the story goes. One of my favorite characters who happens to be the head of a mercenary group is in that book considerably, which I did not expect because I thought because it was a standalone book, we were going to get an entirely new set of characters from the first 3 First Law books. And mainly we do, but we do get some people that come and hang out for the length of the story. He's one of them. And yeah, killer book. Good call, Hobby Vomit. Not only do you have a great name, you got good taste. All right. Melissa says, definitely enjoy midday chat. I got to tell you guys, with the amount of people that are here live right now, it's astounding considering that this is not an episode of For Whom the Bell Tolls because you guys are not here for me for those episodes. You're here for the guest. So the fact that you guys are wanting to hang out to me is just absolutely blow away. Absolutely blow away. BSC is fantastic. I don't know what BSC is. Did we talk about that? We probably did, and I don't remember. Yes, Brandon, you should do afternoon delight streams once a month. All right, so look, there's only one delight when it comes to BookTube, and it is the Friday night delight. So I could do something in the afternoon, but let's be honest. Jimmy has given me like 30 copyright strikes since I started this channel. I mean, I guess what's one more, right? But you know, if I start calling myself the Afternoon Delight, I know the incoming copyright strikes are gonna be there. Dan says, enjoy the midday stream. Even when I'm at the office, I can just plug in and listen to the audio. Exactly. That's what we're going from. That is what we're going for. Laura says, live chats are great. It's what I love most about YouTube. And you know what? Laura has an amazing show called Love Bomb. And all the rants that I just did, you're not going to get that on her interview show because her show is called Love Bomb. And it is super positive and it is really, really good. Again, if you are not subscribed to Laura, you should do that. And I'm sure most of you guys are. If you're unaware, her channel used to be called Fantasy Awash, and she's changed it to Laura A. Blake because she's got a book coming out, and that's her author name. And for consistency and intelligence of branding purposes, she changed her YouTube name. Very smart thing to do. Very smart thing to do. All right. Preacher says, I did video game streaming on Twitch for about 2 years. It became exhausting keeping a 3 to 5 night week schedule when you can't miss or you lose momentum. So a really good friend of mine has been a professional Twitch streamer for about the last 7 or 8 years. And I've talked to him all the time about Twitch streaming. And he's, you know, it's tough. And to get started as a Twitch streamer and build a consistent viewership from nothing is really difficult to do. And he's been able to do it. He does it full time. He's got a wife and a daughter and they have a home and it's great. And he's sponsored, but it was not for lack of effort. It took him a long time to get up and going. He tried a million time slots. He tried overnight. He tried first thing in the morning. Did a lot of different things. And now he's locked in on a genre that I don't even care for, but I still use my Twitch Prime free subscription to subscribe to his channel every month just out of support. But it's crazy because he streams to YouTube as well now, and his YouTube channel is like gigantic, and most people watch on Twitch, but they tune in later to check him out on YouTube. But yeah, Preacher, I get it for sure. Tori says live streams are awesome. Yeah, Tori has amazing live streams. I love her Motley Crue chats. Tori does some really, really good things. Mike says, yeah, I won't always be able to join the chat, but it's nice to have a live stream that isn't all the same time in the evenings. Yeah, I mean, I get it too. I mean, a lot of people have lives at home too. And it's interesting because, you know, because this is a global thing, right? People are coming at it at all different times. And what is 6 o'clock my time, which is a convenient time for me to do For Whom the Bell Tolls, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the West Coast, right? So most people are at work. So I don't expect a lot of people there to do it. And on the other end, you got people that are in Europe that have been in bed for 2 or 3 hours already. So it's an odd time to do those shows. If I had my, are you ready for this word? Are you ready for this word? If I had my druthers, hang on, we got to get. If I had my druthers, I would do live streams For Whom the Bell Tolls in the daytime. That's what I would like, but it's not always possible. Chris says, as a Gen Xer, I would love to see some more fellow Gen Xers join BookTube scene. Yeah, I mean, they're probably out there. The challenge is that we don't find them all the time. And it's interesting. There's a few that I've noticed and I've commented on their videos and they are less than 1,000 subscribers. They're not monetized yet. And I've tried to just be somebody that comments on their videos, right? To help grow engagement, whatever. But even that can kind of get frustrating when you realize they don't reciprocate back. So, you know, you can do what you can do and whatever. So I try when I can. It's not reciprocated back. And yeah, it is what it is. All right, where are we go? All right, Snow says, I really like the vibe on this, a chill little live stream. Yeah, chat stream. Absolutely. Randall Thoris, underrated opinion. John Gwynn is overrated AF. You know, I disagree, but to each their own, right? We all have these authors that work for everybody else except for us, right? And that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I've said that, you know, even if you take your favorite booktuber and you align 95% of the time, right? That leaves 5% that you're in total disagreement about. And for every big author, there's going to be that 5% that it just doesn't work for whatever reason. And they don't get it. They don't get why somebody is as big as they are. Case in point, you knew he was coming up at some point in the stream. Lev Grossman, right? So the one book that I just crap on forever, right? The Magicians. Lots of people love him. I am in that 5% that don't get it. But yeah, I mean, for John Gwynn, I don't know. I love his books. Most of my booktube pals do too, but if he's not your cup of tea, or if you feel like you don't get the hype, chances are you fall into that 5% like a lot of us do with different authors. And it's a huge possibility that one of your favorites is probably in, you know, the 5% camp of somebody else's. They go, you know, I just don't get it. So I think that makes sense. And I think it's actually a good thing, right? I mean, if we all loved everything, how boring would it be, right? If we all just thought every author was the greatest of all time, there would leave very little room for discussion or disagreement. And, you know, I think the communication and this, just the engagement we can have with each other, even on books that we are miles apart on, is a healthy thing, right? It allows for us to get a different perspective on things that through our own echo chambers of people that only agree with us, we would miss out on. And it leaves some space for us to maybe change our minds, evolve our opinions, or do whatever. Because there's plenty of authors out there that I don't get it. But yeah, if he's the one for you, then you know what? I get it. Sylvia says, I am seriously impressed by your level of professionalism and ability to just have a nice, engaging chat, Brian. I know it takes a lot from a person, and you just make it look so easy. Thank you, Sylvia. I will send your check in the mail for saying that very nice thing about me. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I'm thinking about doing, because I am such an entrepreneur and I always like to have different kinds of things going on. And one of the things that I've been exploring in my mind, and you can leave a comment or you can message me if you think it's a good idea, stupid idea, any kind of that, is that I know we talk about unfair advantage, and Jared Henderson had brought that up in his episode of For Whom the Bell Tolls, about each of us have something unique about us that is, you know, quote unquote, the unfair advantage that we bring to the table for our discussions and for our channels, or for really for any endeavor that we have in life. I think my unfair advantage is an ability to communicate with people in a reasonably fun way that even if we disagree, we can still be pals. And the communication skill level that I have is pretty high. I mean, I can count all my flaws all day long, but you know, one thing that we're not always great about is congratulating ourselves on the things that we are good at, and communication for me is one of them. And so what I've been thinking about a little bit is coming up with an online course for beginners, for intermediates, and for advanced public speaking, communication, how to, for beginners to get past the fear of doing it, for more intermediate and advanced people to really how, what's the best way, as I'm talking about making a course on communication, thinking the best way to say is to really expand and grow and improve and continuously get better at it. Because, you know, what you don't use, you lose. All that kind of, you know, slick saying is, they're slick sayings for a reason, because they're kind of true. And how to put together a package where I think I can bring some value and charge something for it. So it's something that I've got in the back of my mind. It's an unfair advantage that I feel like I have capabilities to do, both in terms of the actual course material and the way to maybe sell it in a way that people find value, right? Money back guarantee, all that good stuff. So I don't know, little pitch for an idea that I've got. See, you come into these live streams, you're getting like all my deepest, darkest business ideas. What do we got here? Gendron says, I stopped by a little free library today and found a 1977 first edition of Great American Short Stories from Reader's Digest. Pretty cool. Very cool. By the way, we're going to go for about another 10 or 15 minutes or until my camera dies because I started the camera like a half an hour before I went live and I was legit only going to do this for an hour. My plan was I'm going to do an hour, just say hi to everybody, shoot the crap for a little bit, give somebody, give some people a midday break. Especially, I'd planned this, I don't know, about a week or so ago, but it became even more apparent yesterday that the community could kind of maybe use a jump of positivism. And it was like, all right, I'm going to come on for an hour and I'm going to just be me and I'm going to talk about whatever comes out on the top of my head. I'm going to engage you with the chat. I'm going to do all this stuff. And I actually had some people reach out to me saying, hey, do you want to have a guest today? I'm happy to help co-pilot and do some stuff. And I want to say a special shout out to John A. Douglas, who offered to do that. And I just said, you know what? I kind of feel like just talking to the community today and just having some one-on-one with the peoples. And so yeah, but anyway, if the camera dies or whatever, it's because I started it up before I went live. And I also haven't had any lunch today, and pretty soon I might just slump over and actually hobby vomit. So yeah. Anyway, he's gonna get love for most comments, guys. All right, where are we here? Preacher says, I cannot wait to see what Mike thinks of Dungeon Crawler Carl. I'm mixed. I don't know if he's going to like it or not. The good thing about Mike is that he's open-minded, right? He's not going to go into this going, I already know I don't like it, so I'm not going to like it. He's not that kind of dude. He's going to read it, and he will either say, it's exactly what I thought it was, and it's not for me, or if he likes it and he finds himself laughing, which I suspect he will, because the humor is absolutely right up Mike's alley, that he may go, you know what, this is actually better than I thought it would be. So, and Jimmy Nuts ran into the same thing. I mean, is it Jimmy Nuts' favorite series of all time? No. But he caught himself laughing as he was listening to it at the gym. And that's probably going to happen there too. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I suspect Mike is going to be more of a Alex Veris guy than a Dungeon Crawler Carl guy. I love them both, as you guys all know, but we'll see. I'm obviously super excited to talk to Mike about that as well. Go read books. I haven't done Lit RPG yet either. I tell people to start with Dungeon Crawler Carl, not because it's the most popular, but because it's the most accessible. It's the less crunchy of all the books. And when I say crunchy, it's just a Lit RPG term that means data and numbers and math and D&D mechanics and all of that stuff. And if you don't want to know about a bunch of numbers and all of this stuff, but you're really into great story, that's where you start. Dungeon Crawler Carl is really the best place to go for that. It just happens to be hilarious as well. But it's not just funny. It's not just satire, you guys. There are deep themes as you get deeper into Dungeon Crawler Carl. And I actually think I'm going to make a dedicated video about this, because how crazy is this that I've never made a Dungeon Crawler Carl video ever. I've talked about what to read after Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've made a tier list of my favorite Lit RPG books, or all of them that I've read and where they all land, but I've never actually done a dedicated video. So I think that'll probably be the next review that I do as a series, and it'll be spoiler free. Mostly for people that are kind of on the fence about it, or for people that are big fans that want to hear from another fan and explain what I get out of it. Because maybe what I get out of it is a little bit different than everything. Laura says, why am I not seeing so many of the messages he is highlighting? I don't know. Could be YouTube, could be EVMux. Doug says, I didn't care much for DCC, but I'm not stopping Lit RPG. Yeah, Doug knows. And Doug and I agree on like 95% of Lit RPGs. There's a couple like Primal Hunter that him and I don't. So that's just how it goes. Hobby Vomit. Best name here. If I kind of landed on a mid note for DCC, does it get a lot better? I love the humor and world building. We didn't love the stats and tutorial nature of it. I think it gets better, and I think the cast gets better, and the scope is more epic, and I would give it to book 2. If you don't like it at book 2, then maybe not. Now, this is not Cradle, where it gets good at book 13. God, can I ever get through a live stream without crapping on Cradle? I don't know. All love to the Cradle fans out there. Andrew, if you're watching this later, or Patrick, or whoever, I know you guys love Cradle. That's cool. Here's the deal. By the way, let me try to clarify my kind of not okayness with Cradle. It's not because of Cradle. It's because within lit RPG, just like within fantasy, there's different subgenres. So in fantasy, we have epic fantasy, we have urban fantasy, we have grimdark, we have romantasy, we have all these different subgenres. Lit RPG also has that. And one of the subgenres is called cultivation lit RPG. Cultivation is not my preferred genre within lit RPG. And if there was ever a poster child for cultivation lit RPG, it would be Cradle. So for somebody like Mike, that the only book that he's ever read in lit RPG is Cultivation. I could have told him from the beginning that Cultivation and Mike would not be simpatico. It's just not his jam, and it's not my jam either. And that's why I kind of like have some fun with Cradle, but that's just because I don't like the subgenre. It has nothing to do with the quality of the books. All right, where are we here? Christian's Hoblock. Hello there. Been lurking a while and happened to see you live, so I just joined. Just finished watching the Wheel of Time trailer. Is it Wheel of Time trailer? I don't know. Have I seen it yet? If that's Wheel of Time, I don't know. I gave up on it after season 1. Was not my deal. I don't know. Love the books, but it wasn't my deal. John says, not sure how it'll hit for you, Mike, but you could find it fun. You know what? Here's why I think Mike might like it is because he's a big Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fan. And I don't know anybody who loves Hitchhikers that, at least as much as he does, that wouldn't appreciate this book. People that hate Hitchhiker's Guide, I don't think this book is for them at all. At all. Yeah, Mike likes fun. Yeah, that's what you get with Dungeon Crawler Carl. And Carl is like Mike's kind of dude, so, you know, as a character. So anyway, Laura says, I think people know I'm Eastern European as my skin tone is almost translucent. I don't know. Is there a horror lit RPG genre, Brian? You could try to get Mike into the genre. That there are some pretty horrific things in Dungeon Crawler Carl, but it's more funny than horror. All right. I'm going to try to blast through this because I only want to go another 10 minutes, only because I don't want the camera to die on you guys, and all of a sudden the stream just ends. All right. Where are we here? It's a Euro-friendly stream. Beautiful. Thank you, Lucas, Marcus, Legsing something. Cool. All right. Where are we here? Can you guys believe we've been doing this for 2 hours and people are still watching? Wow, you guys must be so bored. Anyway, all right, where we go? Tori says, I am almost a 6-foot tall woman with red hair and like cold weather more than hot weather, embracing that Nordic life. Yeah, same here. I mean, I'm not anywhere near 6 feet tall. One of these days, Tori and I are going to film together, and you guys, it's going to be hilarious. I am going to barely, yeah, it's so funny. Okay. Farrah, so nice of Brian to shout at an unknown small channel. Oh, you know, look. Speaking of Tori, the day I started BellTube, Tori was on X saying, hey, my friend Brian just started a channel. You guys should check it out. And she was single-handedly responsible. Single-handedly? Single-handedly. This is what happens when I don't drink from my That's a Fact pint glass. Available in the BellTube merch store. She was single-handedly responsible for probably the first 100 to 150 subscribers to the channel. That one tweet she put out on X. And so, you know, pay it forward all the way over here for sure. You know, where are we here? Da da da. The Great Wah. Hi all. Do 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 do. Esme says, I always thought I liked winter because I love ski vacations in Austria, but I am truly a summer girly in and out. Like, I don't want scorching heat. I just want to see the damn sun. Yeah, I'm with you there too. We have not had sun here in Minneapolis in like a month. It is gray. And if you're familiar with the comedian Louis Black, I saw him live here a couple of times, and he did an entire bit on Minneapolis being the most gray city he's ever been to. And I don't know if it was by coincidence, but every time the guy toured here, it was in the winter and the sun never comes out. And if it does, it's like not even close to above zero. So yeah, there's that. Britton's here. Hello, everyone listening while I'm in the shower. Okay, I'm glad you are here. Oh, thank you, Sylvia. Where are we here? Yep, that is true. Do. All right, we are rocking through. I'm behind in comments. Oh my gosh. I guarantee the camera dies. It's going to be so funny. That would be so on brand for me, right? We're just talking, we're doing nothing, and all of a sudden the stream's just dead. Yep, that would be definitely on brand. Preacher says, just subscribe to this Mike guy. I wonder if he has any plans to make some video on Stephen King. Don't know. It's worth checking out for sure. I would. Yeah. Where are we here? Okay. Yeah, Bloodstones rocks. It does rock. It is. Old guys reading romantasy is the key to success. I read Court of Thorn and Roses with my niece a couple of years ago as buddy read. And, you know, I don't know. I mean, the book's not written for me. That's all I can say. It's not a horrible book. Didn't hate it. Just didn't like, I don't know. Just wasn't really my jam. But that's cool. A lot of people love it. So guess what, guys? If books get people reading more, it's a good thing. Reading makes you smarter. Reading gives you perspective on other things than our immediate kind of echo chamber of friends and family. It gives us perspective from all walks of life, from all periods of time. You could read something from a person that wrote it 1,000 years ago and you get some sense of maybe what things may have been like, right? We don't get that in our day-to-day life. So it doesn't matter to me if you're reading comic books, romantasy, whatever. Reading is a benefit. It doesn't matter what the genre is. And you know what? Honestly, as far as romantasy goes, if it keeps some publishers in business, I'm all for it, right? Because tides tend to shift, right? So romantasy is really big right now, and that's great. And just because it's not my cup of tea, if it keeps those publishers around for the next however many years, and maybe something rolls around that is my cup of tea, or those publishers start picking up more lit RPG like they have with Dungeon Crawler Carl, that's a great thing. So it's good. It is good. All right. To Ramble are old guys convincing romance. Yeah, they've not been on the show either. I've absolutely had no contact with those guys whatsoever. I know that John is friends with those guys, and I think Vera's actually good friends with those guys too. I like their show, and I think that gets back to what I was talking about earlier when I was talking about that other channel that I was thinking about, is that you get such a different energy when you've got two people in the same room together. It's just boom, 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 and people are playing off of each other in the same room. It's different than being, you know, on a stream together. There's just a different kind of energy. Where are we? Do. You know, it's so funny. I just realized I was like humming into the microphone. I apologize for the last 10 seconds of this video. Where are we here? Yes, I agree. Vera is awesome. And she's smart. And her videos are very well researched and thought out, and attention is paid to them, and just all the good things. Mac, greetings and stuff. I just screamed into the mic. Sorry for anybody who's listening in their ear pods. I have just deafened you. Please send your, you know, invoice for your hearing regainment to John Minton, care of Talking Story. He will take care of the billing for sure. Mac, good to see you. Most well-read dude, or at least the most voracious reader I have ever met. Welcome. You're just catching the very tail end of this. Just went back to catch up. Tori says, thank you for your lovely comments, Brian. I mean, it's all well-deserved. You know me, Tori, I would find something positive to say regardless, but I mean, in all reality, I'm scared for what Tori's going to be writing over the next 20 years because, I mean, it's already really good, but it's getting better and better and better, and her authorial voice is really becoming distinct, and I like it. So, yeah. Vera says, so who is Rando and when does their wedding life start? I don't know. You know, I don't know. What, like I said, where am I here? I am so behind in yeah, this is how far back I am. Oh my God, it's tough to follow a Melasner. Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to skip through some comments. I'm sorry if I skipped your comment because, like I said, camera is going to just die. Rick the Reader says, I'm currently reading Ship of Magic. Never thought I'd enjoy nautical fantasy this much. Yeah, you know. Of course, that's right after I talked about Tori. Tori hated the book, but that's okay. It just wasn't for her. She had her legit reasons. Lord, if you finish Melasma before me, it's possible, Mike Sama. It is possible. Jeff McIntyre says, I read Gardens of the Moon, then took a 30-book break from Malazan. I may be ready to start Deadhouse Gates soon. Well, good news is that most of the characters from Gardens of the Moon are not in Deadhouse Gates, and there are so many amazing YouTube videos that will bring you back up to speed on everything that you have forgotten about Malazan. So that is a really, really good thing. John is starting Gardens of the Moon this week. He's going to love it. I know John's reading taste. He is going to love it. Yeah, Hobby Vomit says, I just finished up Gardens of the Moon. Can't believe how much I loved it. It's so cinematic. Yeah, absolutely. Really is. Where are we here? All right, I'm going to try to blast through some. Yeah, exactly. Lord of the Reeds is GOAT. No doubt. Where are we here? Oh, my God. Raph's here. Gotta say, if I don't hear Raph popping his beer bottle on Sundays, excuse me, it is not Sunday. So I tune in to Mad on Books Sunday Pub every Sunday, and Raph is usually one of the co-hosts, along with Britton and a few other people. Derry pops in from time to time. And it isn't Sunday until Raph pops his beer bottle. Raph is one of the more thought out booktubers I've ever seen. He's way into heavy metal too, so like serious Brian Bell 2 points for Raph's love of metal, for sure. Look who else is here. Here's another guy we've got coming up on the show one of these minutes. We got to coordinate this, Kyle. Midnight Tide's been looking at me on the desk for like 5 months, right? I'm with you, Kyle. I'll be getting to it really quick. All right, where am I? Where are we? I know I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I'm so far behind. And I'm doing again. I thought I wasn't a cosmic horror person until I read Discovery. Same as me. Where are we here? Swan Song is fantastic. Reading Boy's Life currently is brilliant. Robert McCammon is a gem. Totally agree. What's this Discovery? People are talking. Jerome So Talking Story, which is John, Amy, and Jacob Minton, wrote a book called Discovery, and some of the booktubers that are, sort of within John's, close sphere, and people like Esme who are supportive of his channel and have great street cred when it comes to reviewing and understanding books. We're given arcs, and it's almost unanimous. I don't know anybody who's not dug it. Like, it's really good, I think. And Philip just put out a video today. I haven't seen it yet, Philip, but I will be watching it later, and he reviewed the book. So non-spoiler, of course. Yeah, well, hey, it's not for lack of him wanting you to, that. And actually, to be fair, of everybody in the Illuminati, now obviously John doesn't count because he wrote the book, but of the 3 other ones, the one that I think is most likely to love Discovery the most is Mike. So it's 100% a Mike book. So I think, Mike and I align on 95 to 98% of our books. There are a handful we do not, but I think this one he's going to like. All right, where am I? If I am, yeah. Christine says, seconded, what matters is books. Exactly. All right. Yes, Stepan, correct. All right, we are going through here. Mike says, well said, Brian. Sucks to see all of BookTube getting dragged on social media right now, but you're right. Well, I mean, look, it's just, things are what they are. My name's Parker. You know me, man. It wouldn't be BookTube if it wasn't for Daniel or Brian Lee Green, for the matter. Look. Yeah, this popular booktuber set a path. Just because you you blaze the trail, it doesn't. Nothing lasts forever. Sometimes. All right, where John has an assistant. John's got a team. He's got Jacob. He's got Jacob's fiance. He's got his wife. He's got the dog. John shows up and drinks Dr. Pepper Cherry Zero. That's his job. Yeah, see? Again, the banter, the live banter, even when they're not in the same room, it started in the same room. And that's kind of what I was talking about. Where are we here? All right. I am ridiculous behind. Oh my God. You guys, the camera will die sooner or later, but I'm going to keep going because I cannot believe how far behind in the comments I am. Look what the cat dragged in, folks. What's that pullover you got on, Brian? Right? So it's this pullover, and like I showed people earlier, it's got the Philip Chase elbows, and that was the draw for wearing this today. Because why should Philip be the only one with the sweet elbows on BookTube? Right? I mean, sorry, I may not be a PhD college professor, but I can rock out the elbow stuff. All right. Good to see you too, my friend. We talked about you a little bit earlier, or maybe you heard that. I don't know. I'm so far behind in chat. This is bonkers. Is the blue dragon a critical dragon? I think he's a disco dragon. I don't know that, it looks like he's got a cocktail in the hand he's not holding me up with, so I don't know that I would trust his critiques. Yeah, I mean, Mike says here, 6 or 7 arcs deep at the moment, and that's being selective. Yeah, it's tough. Tad Red instead says, as a small booktuber, I am certainly learning that thick skin is important. Yeah, I mean, thick skin's important just in life, all right? The world will disappoint us kind of regularly. The quicker we can get accustomed to it without losing our sense of optimism, the better off we're going to be. There is something that is true, that you can have both thick skin and be optimistic. That is sort of what I have put myself into in my own mentality, is that, yeah, all right, where are we here? Where are we here? Kyle's playing video games, Civ 6, haven't played it. I'm not a base building dude, but I did finish Baldur's Gate 3 nights ago. Completely amazing storytelling at the finest level. I am at least, see, God, guys, this was going to be an hour, the power hour. All right, no way he catches up with all these comments. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is, God. We talked about you earlier, and maybe you commented when I did. I don't know. I'm so far behind in comments. Coming to Be Social, just finished reading since I woke up at 4:30 a.m. Author Andrew D. Meredith, ladies and gentlemen. All right, where are we here? I am going to not read a bunch of comments, or we will never, ever, ever finish the stream. Ted Red says, at only 200 subscribers, I've not got any mean comments. When you get a mean comment, you know you've made it. Absolutely. And of course, the Fantasy Network will always help you out with either a mean comment or a copyright strike. He's known for both. I wouldn't mess around with the Fantasy Network. Absolutely. Where are we here? Is Chance here? I saw Chance pop by. Chance, stop in to say thumbs up and wasabi. Chance, what's up, my man? Subscribe to Chance's channel. He's fun. He's got a book coming out too. I'm literally starting to shake, you guys, because I haven't eaten anything and all I've had is coffee. All right. Sam says, hey, Brian, I'm so far behind. This is like, oh my God, you guys are incredible today. To have this much engagement for a relatively unplanned, literally, oh my God, I am a half hour. God, I am like at least a half an hour behind. All right, where are we here? This is bonkers. I'm going to just try to pull up like the comments that I know I have to get to. All right. Yeah, Berserk or Death Note would start. Yeah, you know what? So Slay sent me Berserk, so that would be a really good idea to do. Where are we here? Belltube Gaming. Oh my God. You know what? Jimmy and I were talking the other day about how fun it would be to stream Divinity Original Sin together. That would be kind of fun. Last Bell. Exactly. Belltube Last Call. Belltube Backstage. Belltube After Dark. You like how I looked into the camera and did that like perfectly well? Oh my God. Johnny Thunder After the Storm. Absolutely. Rick Thunder. Oh my God, you guys, this is how far back I am in the comments. All right, I'm just going to go through, and I apologize if I am missing. Hey, Tom, I apologize if I am missing your comments, because literally this is, next time I do this, I promise you guys, if you want me to do this again, leave a comment or do whatever, but I will do it, and I will eat something before, and I will charge my camera properly, and we can do kind of a long stream like this. I like doing it. Darko, busy at work with popping in to say, what up, Ryan? Everyone in the background is sick. Thank you. I don't use AI for much, but I thought it would be fun to create something a little bit different today to give you guys something more interesting to look at than my ugly mug. All right, where are we here? Okay. This is how far back we are. Oh my God. Yeah. Mike gets it. He's a finance dude. All right. Where are we? This is so funny. Where are we? Okay. Where are we? Look who's here. Ben, we talked about you earlier. I don't know if your ears were ringing or whatever, but I definitely brought you up earlier. We are still at Druthers. This stream is never ending. And I got to pee. So this is like, I'm hungry. I'm shaking. I have to pee. This is uncensored BellTube, right? Midday BellTube, where you get nothing but the truth. Yeah. So thanks, Mike. You get it. All right. I'm just buzzing through this. I am so far behind. I don't know. I just am. Okay, we're getting maybe a little closer. I don't know. All right. Whatever gets people reading is good. All right, maybe we're getting a little bit closer. Wait a minute. 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 All right, timeout. Welcome, Theo, to BookTube. Rekindle Reader. Sup, Brian? I'm taking a few notes and attempt to record a video. It's been a while. Rough start to 2025. Theo, you are greatly missed. Take a look at your Discord. I sent you a message not that long ago. I don't know, but I'd like to check in on my friends, and you are certainly one of them. And, man, Rekindle Reader's great. Love it. But I know that, life is different for everybody. And, to everything there is a season, right? So, I don't know. Exactly. Yeah, Theo's awesome. Theo is totally fun. All right. Yes, Brian, go eat. Exactly, right? Yeah, I mean, it is seriously the deconstruction of Brian Bell live with a disco dragon. That's what I think you guys go get some grub soon, Brian, right? I mean, if I fall over or, like all of a sudden, yeah. Okay, wait, am I caught up? Oh my God. I think I'm caught up. Or the stream died, one of the two. I'm not caught up. Oh my God. Oh, wait, I am. Oh my God. Exactly. See? Everybody's so concerned about my health, Sylvia, until, but they're like, no, we're good. You just keep going, fall apart, accidentally pee under your desk, whatever, it's fine. Oh my God. This is, all right, we're getting BellTube after dark. You guys, all right. So the camera's going to die. We've been going for 2.5 hours. I just want to say thank you guys, because I literally have been feeling like I've missed you guys for a long time. It's been 3 weeks of since For Whom the Bell Tolls. I've been in and out of just mental, not depression, but aggravation with Amazon, that like Quilluminati knows that I've had nothing but problems with those guys for a while, and it drains me. And I just missed talking to you guys. And that's why I decided I wanted to do this today. I legitimately thought there'd be about 15 people here. I would go for an hour and that would be it. You guys have confirmed once again that this is an incredible community. I am so glad we did this today. I'm so glad that you guys are providing positivity for each other in the chat. I'm really glad we talked about some books. I am really glad that I'm glad we did this today. I'm going to do a video on Friday. For Whom the Bell Tolls is coming back. I'm not exactly sure when. Leslie will be on from the Nerdy Narrative sometime in March. Podium Entertainment is sponsoring another Lit RPG live stream, and that's going to happen March 12th. So we've got good stuff. If you like the video, just to kind of get another copyright struck from my friend Jimmy Nuts, don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, Patreon is in the description. There's no obligation, but it's always appreciated. Jimmy, am I doing this right? I don't know. If I'm going to get copyright struck by you, I ought to really copy it pretty well. Of course, the merch link is down there. I want to see more people I would love to see more people with their morning coffee, having a One for the Road coffee mug next to them. That will keep you in a positive spirit. Maybe. I don't know. I can't oversell and I can't overpromise and underdeliver. But if you want to keep my One for the Roads on top of mind, how better to do that than with a One for Your Road Well, I can't even talk anymore, you guys. This sales pitch is so off the rails right now. It's awful. I just want to say thank you to everybody. I am going to go back and watch all this later because I want to see all your comments. I know I missed some. I apologize if I did. You guys are super important. I will see you guys on Friday when I drop a video. Until then, stay positive. I don't have a fortune. I don't have a, you know what? Here's my one for the road. My one for the road is, if you think you're going to do a 2.5-hour live stream, charge a camera first and go to the bathroom. That's my one for the road today. Stay positive, you guys. We'll see you guys soon. Take care. Bye.